For a full 30 days after the wedding, Fu Zhixuan shut down his entire operation. He poured every second into Yunshu, and they took off on a honeymoon that circled the globe. It might sound exhausting, but he had it planned to the minute. Yunshu never felt a hint of travel fatigue. Whenever they stepped out, she barely had to walk. A luxury car or a private jet was always waiting, carrying her to every destination in seamless comfort. At every meal, Fu Zhixuan handled everything himself. He chose the restaurants, served her food, peeled her shrimp, wiped her hands. He even tasted each bite before she did, checking the temperature, the seasoning, making sure it was perfect. He picked out her clothes every day, matching each outfit to the itinerary and the weather. Every night, he drew her bath, set out warm towels and her favorite products, and let her sink into total relaxation. The sightseeing schedule was entirely Yunshu's call. The second she showed a flicker of tiredness, Fu Zhixuan cut the outing short and brought her back to the hotel. Soft bed, warm blankets, he made sure she could recharge in peace. And if she craved something, no matter how late or how far, he found a way. He hunted down local specialties, pulled strings to get her favorites delivered, and made sure she tasted the best of every city. Yunshu was brimming with happiness. After more than a month, the private jet brought them back to the capital. The day they returned, Master Fu, Shen Wangzheng, and Shangfu Muse all planned to visit. Fu Zhixuan rescheduled every single one of them. His reason, Yunshu needed rest. No disturbances. Even when Yunshu insisted she wasn't tired, Fu Zhixuan overruled her. This man spoiled her endlessly and almost never denied her anything. But when it came to her health, he was dead serious. So, at his insistence, Yunshu rested for nearly a full week. After that, friends and family were finally allowed to see her. Her face had softened, her morning sickness had faded, and everyone was genuinely thrilled for her. Time flew. Before she knew it, Yunshu was 3 months pregnant. That day, the doctor came for her regular checkup. After a thorough exam, he praised both her physical condition and the baby's development. Hearing the good news, a massive weight lifted off Fu Zhixuan's chest. Night fell, and the city lights flickered to life. After dinner, Fu Zhixuan took a slow walk with Yunshu through the garden, then headed to his study. A mountain of work had piled up during his time of critical decisions were waiting for his review and signature. Yunshu went back to the bedroom to rest. But as she lay in bed, the doctor's words from earlier kept looping in her mind. She lay there thinking, and then a sudden impulse sparked inside her. She got up and walked into the bathroom. In the study, Fu Zhixuan was buried in documents, laser-focused. His pen moved across page after page, signing off on decisions. His phone lit up on the desk, ringing and shattering the silence. He glanced at the screen. Instantly, he stood, grabbed the phone, and strode toward the door. "Baby, what's wrong?" he said as he moved. Yunshu's voice came through, tight with urgency. "Honey, come to the bedroom. Quick." Fu Zhixuan's chest tightened. "Okay, don't worry. I'm on my way." He hung up and broke into a near jog down the hall. When he pushed the bedroom door open, the room was empty. He frowned, unease twisting through him. "Baby." No answer. His pulse kicked up. Hard. He checked the walk-in closet, scanning for any sign of her. Empty. He stepped out and caught a faint sound coming from the bathroom. Alert, he headed straight for the door. Locked. He knocked, voice sharp. "Baby, are you in there?" No response. "Step back. I'm breaking the door down." His mind raced through worst-case scenarios. The thought of Yunshu hurt in there sent his heart hammering. He braced to force the door open. "Honey, don't break it. I'm fine. I'll be out in a second, just wait." Yunshu's voice stopped him mid-step. "Okay, take your time. Be careful, don't sleep." Relief flooded through him. Inside the bathroom, Yunshu was flustered. She hurried to dry off, silently kicking herself for the bad timing. If she had just waited a few more minutes, everything would have been perfect. She walked to the mirror. The pink lingerie against her skin was striking. Her cheeks flushed warm, and her heartbeat quickened. Nguyen had given her this set a few days ago, saying it would add a little spark to their marriage. At the time, Yunshu hadn't thought much of it. She and Fu Zhixuan had always had a great relationship. But since the pregnancy, he had been so careful with her even on their wedding night. He had held back, terrified of hurting her or the baby. Thinking about it now, a sudden impulse surged through her. Tonight, she decided, she would give Fu Zhixuan a surprise. She took a deep breath, steadied herself, and picked up a lipstick from the vanity. She applied it carefully, the bright color making her lips look even more inviting. She let her hair down, the dark strands falling past her shoulders in a lazy, alluring wave. Everything ready, Yunshu reached out, turned the lock, and slowly pulled the door open. The moment Fu Zhixuan's eyes landed on her, he froze solid. "Honey." Yunshu's voice drifted like a feather, soft and delicate, brushing against Fu Zhixuan's ears. He froze, his whole body going rigid. His gaze pulled toward her like she held an invisible string. She wore a thin silk slip dress. The hem barely grazed her upper thighs. The pale pink fabric made her skin glow, luminous and impossibly fragile. Irresistible. She was past 3 months now, but only the faintest swell showed at her belly. You'd never guess she was carrying unless you looked close. But pregnancy had reshaped her. Her figure had turned softer and fuller in all the right ways, with curves that could put a lingerie model to shame. All of it wrapped in that whisper of pink silk. She stood sideways near the door, casual, natural. But the picture she made stole the air from his lungs. Bare legs. Slim ankles. Perfectly shaped toes. Every inch of her drew him in. She leaned forward just slightly. That tiny shift pulled his eyes from her narrow waist down to the gentle flare of her hips. He forgot how to breathe. Then she walked toward him, slow and measured, until only half a step separated them. Her hands rose as if under some quiet spell and came to rest on the buttons of his shirt. A smile flickered at the corner of her lips, warm as spring sunlight, bright enough to undo any man. She tilted her head back and met his gaze. Tender. Intense. "What?" His voice scraped out hoarse. "You're pregnant." Before he could say another word, she pressed one slim finger to his lips. "Honey. You heard what the doctor said today." The meaning was clear. Her health was excellent. The baby was developing perfectly. The first trimester was behind them. She was stable now. Her fingers went to work as she spoke. She worked the buttons free with deft, practiced movements. 1, 2, 3. Each one released, more of his chest came into view. Tanned skin gleaming under the bedroom's warm gold light. Raw, masculine heat radiating off him in waves. Every muscle stood in sharp relief, carved like a master sculptor's work. Broad shoulders. Chiseled pecs. The rich rose of his abs. Just looking at them made her ache to reach out and feel all that hard, tough strength beneath her palms. "Wife," his hand caught her wrist. Gentle but firm. He held her there. His breath came fast and hot against her ear, sending a tingle straight through her. She lifted her head. Her eyes were already hazy, a thin mist clouding her vision until everything looked soft and unfocused. Her heart hammered. She was nervous. "Do you know what you're doing?" His voice had dropped low and husky, with a tremor so faint she almost missed it. That cool, dark gaze of his had burned down to pure heat now. Fire pulled at the bottom, hot enough to swallow her whole if she got too close. She looked into those stunning eyes and nodded. "I know. I want to spend our wedding night with you." She said it slowly, deliberately, letting each word land. Fu Zhixuan's body was already a powder keg. Her words lit the match. Heat roared up through him, blinding and fierce, threatening to burn them both alive. Wife! Are you sure? The question scraped out of him, barely leashed. Yunshu didn't answer with words. She wrapped both arms around his bare, muscular chest and held on tight. He read her instantly. One long arm snaked around her slim waist and pulled her flush against him. His other hand cradled the back of her head. For one heartbeat she felt nothing but safety. Love. Him. Then he bent down, and his lips brushed hers. Hot, like fire. The kiss started soft, tentative, but it deepened fast. It crashed over her like a sweeping tide, stealing her breath and leaving her trembling beneath him. When he finally pulled back, he bent low and lifted her into his arms, as careful as if she were spun from glass. With steady steps he carried her to the white bed and eased her onto the soft sheets. Her body gave a small, answering bounce against the mattress. His eyes burned as they traced over her delicate skin. His breathing roughened. The desire inside him blazed higher and hotter. Kisses rained over her skin, each one a spark that lit a brand new fire. Under his touch her body grew feverish. Her breathing hitched, fast and shallow. The rest of the world dissolved. There was only him. Only them. From the moment he learned she was pregnant, Fu Zhixuan had held himself back. He knew those first 3 months were fragile. One wrong move could hurt them both. So even on their wedding night, and all through the honeymoon, he never pushed past that line. Every time he wrapped his arms around her warm, sweet-scented body, he'd lie awake all night wanting her desperately. But her safety came first. The baby came first. Now she was the one inviting him in. The pregnancy was stable. At last he could let the worry go and give himself to her without reservation. Show his wife exactly what a wedding night ought to be. They tangled together through the deep hours of the night. Love surged between them like an endless tide, rising again and again, sweeping them both away. Honey. Fu Zhixuan slid his hand gently over the woman beside him. A soft flush still colored her cheeks. Baby, sleepy, she murmured, eyes shut, the words coming out in a sweet little slur. The storm of passion had passed, and now exhaustion was dragging her under. She couldn't even lift her eyelids. Okay, babe, go to sleep. He got up, walked into the bathroom, and filled the basin with warm water. After soaking a towel, he came back and began cleaning her with slow, deliberate strokes. He wiped her forehead, then her neck, then every inch of her skin. His touch was impossibly tender. The truth was, Fu Zhixuan wasn't in much better shape than Yunshu. Even though they could finally share a normal married life, he never let himself forget her condition. Somewhere deep in his mind, a line stayed pulled tight. He had to satisfy her needs while guarding her health. It drained him, mentally and physically. Once he finished, he dressed her in a fresh set of pajamas so she could sleep comfortably. Then he climbed into bed, pulled her sleeping body into his arms, and let himself sink into her warmth. All the fatigue inside him slowly dissolved in that softness. He closed his eyes, let the stillness settle over him, and followed her into a deep sleep. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the curtains and scattered across the room. Yunshu stirred, stretching slowly. Every muscle ached, and her throat was parched. Like she'd swallowed fire. She sat up, grabbed the glass on the nightstand, and took a few sips. Honey water, perfect temperature. The sweetness slid down her throat, soothing the raw ache. After drinking, she noticed her pajamas weren't the ones she'd worn to bed. Images of the night before came rushing back. Hot. Desperate. Her cheeks flamed. Fu Zhixuan must have changed her. Her heartbeat kicked up. Just as her feet touched the floor, the bedroom door swung open and he walked in. Awake, babe? Yeah. I've slept enough. She studied him. He was in a perfectly tailored suit, posture straight and tall, his handsome face showing zero fatigue. If anything, he looked energized. She frowned a little. Are you heading to work or coming back? He smiled. Just finished a video conference in the study. He shrugged off his jacket and tossed it onto the couch. Yunshu shook her head, amazed. Late to bed, early to rise, and still no sign of exhaustion. The man was a fountain of energy. He went into the bathroom, squeezed toothpaste onto her brush, and filled a cup with warm water. When she walked in, he held them out. But she didn't take them. Instead, she said, Fu Zhixuan, go to the office. His brow furrowed. You don't want me here. She shook her head. No. I don't want you working yourself into the ground. The baby's stable, and there are plenty of maids to take care of me. You got a mountain of work at the conglomerate. If you keep hovering at home, the backlog is going to bury you. She couldn't stand the thought of him staying up late every night after she fell asleep, drowning in work. He let out a low chuckle, unconcerned. It's fine, babe. Don't you trust your husband's abilities? Her expression went cool. She just stared at him, silent. The silence said everything. 2 seconds later, he answered fast. Yes, ma'am. I'll head to the office this afternoon. Only then did she smile. Fu Zhixuan had already cancelled the day's meetings, and Xia Mo'er had been looking forward to a slow afternoon. Just as he was about to lie down, a phone call blew those plans apart. Grumbling under his breath, he trudged downstairs. At the bottom, he ran into Fu Zhixuan. Xia Mo'er grabbed his arm like a lifeline. Hey, didn't the boss say he wasn't coming in for a while? Why the sudden change? Fu Zhixuan's expression didn't shift. Madam told him to. Got it. Understanding dawned. A wicked grin spread across Xia Mo'er's face. Oh, I see. So the boss is officially henpecked now. Fu Zhixuan's face stayed blank, but the corner of his mouth gave the faintest twitch. Xia Mo'er dug himself deeper. Our boss used to be so tough and unyielding. Now that he's married, he's scared of his wife. Without a word, Fu Zhixuan pulled out his phone and held it up. I recorded that. I'll play it for him when I get the chance. Xia Mo'er's eyes went wide. He clamped his mouth shut and didn't say another word. After lunch, Yunshu watched the Rolls-Royce pull away. She couldn't help smiling when she remembered the look on Fu Zhixuan's face. A pouting husband she just banished from his own home, completely unwilling to go. She was still in her first trimester, with no real discomfort, but he insisted on hovering every day. With the conglomerate's endless workload, if he kept staying up late night after night, his health would eventually crack. That's why she kicked him out to the office. When the conglomerate's senior executives saw Fu Zhixuan stride in that afternoon, they were stunned. Their boss hadn't been seen since the wedding. Was he here because the company was about to make a major move? What none of them knew was that their boss had been ordered to come to work by his wife. In the days that followed, Fu Zhixuan went to the conglomerate every morning. But he always left early, just so he could make it home in time for dinner with Yunshu. No business dinner, no social event could keep him from those meals. And as long as he wasn't burning the midnight oil on work, she had no reason to complain. While he was at the office, Yunshu stayed home. She read, played with Xiaobai, or simply relaxed. Sometimes Shangfu Muse and Gu Hangxian came by the mansion to talk and catch up on life's little moments. She also made time to visit old Master Fu at the family estate playing chess, sharing meals, soaking in that warm grandparent and grandchild bond. Life was quiet and easy, and Yunshu was completely content. A professional caregiver and nutritionist tailored her exercise and meals every single day. That made her pregnancy surprisingly comfortable, not miserable. Time slipped by without her noticing. Before she knew it, Yunshu had entered her third trimester. The due date was less than a month away. Her belly had grown noticeably larger, but unlike many pregnant women, the rest of her body hadn't swollen. From behind, you could barely tell she was expecting. One weekend, Xia Mo'er dropped by the mansion to munch a meal. He brought several bags of baby toys, claiming they were gifts from an uncle to his future niece or nephew. Yunshu played with them for a bit, then told him to take them upstairs to the nursery. A few minutes later, Xia Mo'er came back down, curiosity all over his face. Yunshu, did my brother-in-law set up the nursery? Yunshu was eating fruit. She nodded. Besides the construction, he arranged everything inside. And he'd done it way ahead of time. Everything in there from the crib to the tiniest pacifier had been chosen by Fu Zhixuan after careful consideration. She hadn't lifted a finger. Both rooms. Xia Mo'er pressed. Right. Your brother-in-law said it's better to prepare for a boy and a girl in advance. Brother-in-law has a serious bias. Xia Mo'er muttered under his breath. Yunshu knew exactly what he meant. She said lightly, your brother-in-law prefers girls over boys. I know guys like girls better these days, but this is way too much. The girls' room is gorgeous. I saw real diamonds in there. And the boys' room. It's basically a bare cell. If it weren't for the crib, you wouldn't even know it's a nursery. Yunshu laughed. Your brother-in-law says girls should be raised like princesses. Boys are fine with whatever. When she saw the rooms herself, she'd been even more shocked than Xia Mo'er was now. The favoritism had no limits. The heir to the conglomerate. Poor kid. She remembered that back when their family was only middle class, Shen Wansheng had treasured him like a jewel. How could Fu Zhixuan treat his own son like he was nothing? No way. I have to be extra nice to the little guy. It's too pitiful. Imagining a little boy sleeping in that empty nursery made Xia Mo'er's heart ache. Yunshu watched his worried expression and couldn't help laughing. For the next week straight, Xia Mo'er kept adding things to the boys' nursery. Packages arrived at the mansion almost every day. In his words, he wanted his little nephew to feel the love from his uncle. The most important moment was finally here. That day, everyone was on edge. Yunshu's due date had come. The weather was perfect, sunny with a gentle breeze, like the heavens had prepared it especially for this day. Fu Zhixuan accompanied Yunshu as she checked into the VIP suite at the hospital. The room was spacious, bright, and warmly decorated, all designed to keep her comfortable during this critical time. Fu Zhixuan had stopped working a week ago. He set aside all business and obligations to be by her side without distraction. He barely ate or slept, focused on only one thing, making sure Yunshu and the baby were safe and healthy. He followed her around like a hawk, never relaxing for a second. He asked constantly if she felt any discomfort, if her stomach felt different. But compared to his tension, Yunshu was remarkably calm. She went about her normal routine, eating, watching TV, occasionally asking to go downstairs for a walk. Honey, I'm thirsty. She sat on the hospital suite sofa, watching TV, holding the pastries he'd just bought. She didn't even glance his way. Okay, his deep voice answered. Moments later, a cup of water at the perfect temperature was placed in her hand. Honey, my back hurts. Get me a pillow. A few seconds later, a soft pillow appeared. Yunshu leaned forward without looking, and the pillow settled right against the small of her back. Honey, my foot's a little numb. Before she finished, Fu Zhixuan walked over, sat down, lifted her legs onto his lap, and started massaging her feet. Xia Mo'er stood nearby, jaw-slack with disbelief. His brain couldn't process what he was seeing. Fu Zhixuan, the head of the conglomerate. Forget his background, just his legendary track record in business would make anyone bow down. And now, at Yunshu's command, he turned into an all-purpose servant. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Xia Mo'er wouldn't have believed it even if someone paid him. Everything the babies would need was already prepared at the mansion. Old Master Fu kept sending truckloads of stuff to the house. Now everyone was just waiting for the little one inside her to decide it was time. Visitors came and went in waves. Phone calls came one after another. But Yunshu, whose due date was today, showed no signs of going into labor. The doctor checked several times. She still needed to wait. Yunshu immediately wanted to go home, but Fu Zhixuan talked her down. A due date didn't guarantee she'd give birth today, but it also didn't mean she wouldn't. If something happened on the drive home, or in the middle of the night while she was asleep, that could be disastrous. So on the first day of her due date, their young mistress spent the night in the hospital. Xia Mo'er, terrified he'd miss the baby meeting his awesome uncle, checked himself in too. That night, Yunshu grew sleepy and drifted off. Fu Zhixuan stayed by her bedside, monitoring her temperature, checking on her constantly. He never even took off his jacket. He just stayed there, not daring to drop his guard for a single moment. The next morning, the hospital director arrived early with a full medical team in tow. The head of obstetrics, the lead surgeon, the floor's head nurse, they put Yunshu through a complete workup. Machines were wheeled in, test after test, one assessment after another. When the results came back, they caught everyone a little off guard. She wasn't in labor yet. But the director didn't want to take chances. He advised against discharging her. Yunshu immediately turned moody. She pushed to go home. Fu Zhixuan stepped in, coaxing her in that low, steady voice of his until she finally gave in. By noon, the room had filled with visitors. Master Fu showed up first, his face tight with worry as he asked how she was doing. Shangfu Muse and Dr. Gao arrived soon after, and the suite hummed with voices. Yunshu sat at the center of it all. One person asked if she felt anything in her belly. Another wanted to know what she felt like eating. Through all the fuss, her expression stayed calm and steady, no nerves, no discomfort, not a hint of strain. The nurses rotated through on a VIP schedule. She was the wife of the hospital's largest shareholder, after all a VIP among VIPs. They checked in like clockwork, tracking her vitals, keeping everything on course. The hours slipped by. Everyone stayed until the sun sank below the horizon and the sky turned dark. Then one by one they said their reluctant goodbyes. Fu Zhixuan refused to leave. Flat out refused. He'd already taken leave from work, he said, and he wasn't going anywhere until he met his son or daughter. So he stayed right by her side. His heart was racing faster than anyone's. The joy of becoming a father hadn't shown up yet. He devoured stacks of material on childbirth, knew the process inside and out, and every account of a difficult delivery haunted him. Childbirth was walking through the gates of hell. One wrong turn, and anything could happen. So his heart stayed lodged in his throat. Outside the room, 2 bodyguards stood guard, not daring to relax for a second. They were braced for any emergency, ready to do whatever it took to keep Yunshu and the baby safe. Night fell. After dinner, Yunshu suddenly wanted to go down to the hospital garden for a walk. Fu Zhixuan grabbed her water bottle and coat without a word, then followed her downstairs. The VIP suite was nice, but it was still a hospital room. The air had turned stuffy. The moment they stepped outside and breathed in the garden's fresh, green scent, Yunshu felt the weight lift from her shoulders. They strolled along the garden path, soaking up a rare stretch of quiet. Fu Zhixuan walked beside her, handing her water every few minutes, draping his coat over her shoulders whenever the breeze picked up, afraid she'd catch a chill. Before they knew it, 2 hours had slipped by. Yunshu seemed to have lost all sense of time. She was still drinking in the soft evening air, showing no desire to head back. Eventually, Fu Zhixuan had to gently coax her toward the room. She had barely stepped inside, hadn't even reached the bed when a sudden rush of warm liquid gushed down her leg. The shock caught her completely off guard. She froze mid-step. Yunshu. What's wrong? Fu Zhixuan noticed her pause, his voice tight with confusion. A flicker of surprise crossed her cool features, but she pulled herself together fast. She drew a deep breath, steadied herself, then slowly lifted her head to meet his eyes. Honey, I need to tell you something. Don't panic. Fu Zhixuan's heart ceased. A cold dread flooded through him. He squeezed her hand, his voice urgent. What is it? Well, my water just broke. Before she could get the last word out, all the color drained from Fu Zhixuan's face. His gaze dropped to the floor. When he saw the clear puddle spreading beneath her feet, his whole body began to tremble. Get the doctor. Now. His voice cracked with panic. He swept Yunshu into his arms, rushed her to the bed, and laid her down as gently as his shaking hands would allow. She knew he was terrified for her, for the baby. That was why he was losing it. She spoke softly, trying to soothe him. It's okay, Fu Zhixuan. My water just broke. I don't really feel anything yet. But even as she reassured him, his anxiety didn't ease. His brow stayed furrowed, his hands gripping hers like he was afraid she would vanish the second he let go. Just then, a bodyguard burst back in with the doctor. The medical team moved fast, running a series of checks. After a thorough evaluation, they confirmed Yunshu had entered the first stage of labor. Fu Zhixuan stood off to the side, his handsome face frozen exactly the way it had been the moment her water broke. Yunshu noticed how rigid he was. She tried to lighten the mood. Honey, don't worry. I feel fine, and the baby's being so good. He nodded, but his expression didn't budge. As labor progressed, her cervix began to dilate. The occasional ache in her lower belly was still bearable. When she reached 4 centimeters, the doctors decided to move her to the delivery room to prepare for the baby's arrival. Before they wheeled her in, Yunshu turned to the attending doctor. Keep an eye on Fu Zhixuan. He's way too nervous. Fu Zhixuan's face was just as pale. His heart hammered just as hard. I'm nervous too, Yunshu. Watching you go in there, it scares me. Don't be scared. Just wait. I'm coming out with your little one. He nodded hard. Yeah. She turned to Fu Zhixuan, still gripping her hand, and gave him a sweet smile. Honey, wait for me. Fu Zhixuan's throat constricted. He forced the words out. I'll be waiting, wife. She watched the delivery room door swing slowly shut, sealing her away from the outside world. Fu Zhixuan's tension spiked even higher. His heart thundered. His hands clenched into fists. A storm cloud seemed to hang over him. Inside the delivery room, the contractions came harder and faster. The mounting pain signaled that the birth was near. 20 minutes crawled by. The delivery room air grew thick and heavy, every second stretching taut. Muyun lay on the bed, sweat beading on her forehead. Her fingers locked around the metal handrails, and with every ounce of strength she had, she pushed, listening to the doctor and nurses call out the rhythm. A sharp cry split the silence. The tension in the room shattered. The nurses cleaned the newborn with quick, efficient hands, then laid him gently in front of her. You have a healthy baby boy. Congratulations, Mrs. Fu. The nurse's voice rang bright with relief. Muyan's gaze landed on the tiny, pink creature. His eyes were still closed, his skin impossibly soft. Exhaustion pressed on every limb, but a quiet, blissful smile broke across her face. The nurse whisked the baby away to wash him. Muyan's eyes stayed trained on the door, as if she could see straight through it to him. Then a chill crept up from somewhere deep inside her. She shivered involuntarily. She looked up at the surgical light. The glare fractured, the world tilting sideways. Her eyelids turned to lead. No matter how hard she fought, She couldn't keep them open. MRS Fu. MRS Fu, what's wrong? The nurse's voice sharpened. Mu Yun tried to answer. Her throat had locked up. No sound came. The room erupted. Voices shouted her name, tight with urgency. Her consciousness slipped, the noise pulling away until only a dizzy hum remained. MRS Fu, stay with us. Please don't fall asleep. The nurse's voice echoed, grew fainter, and then vanished into nothing. Someone whispered near her ear. A light tap against her cheek, trying to rouse her. But her body was bound by an invisible force. She couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Couldn't find the strength to open her eyes. A storm of songs swirled around her. Overlapping voices, the frantic beat of machines. Chaos winding tighter and tighter. She's not contracting. Push more contraction meds. The placenta still isn't out. Doctor, her blood pressure's dropping. Heart rate's crashing. No. She's hemorrhaging. The words flew past her in fragments, fuzzy but unmistakably urgent. The delivery room churned with frantic motion, machines whirring and beeping in a mechanical symphony of crisis. The baby had already been taken to the ward. Shen Yishuang and Gu Hongxian followed close behind, guarding the new life that had just entered the world. Fu Huaishan stood rooted outside the delivery room. When the nurse emerged with the baby, he barely glanced at the bundle before his gaze locked back on the closed door. Minutes stacked up. The baby had been out for nearly half an hour, and still Mu Yun hadn't appeared. Normally, after a natural birth, the mother was brought out soon after. Something was wrong. A heavy, curling unease twisted in his chest. He couldn't wait another second. He shot to his feet and strode straight for the door. Footsteps rushed up behind him. He turned. The hospital director and a pack of doctors were hurrying toward him. The director stopped in front of him, face drawn. Mr. Fu, your wife is experiencing a severe postpartum hemorrhage. The medical team is doing everything they can. Fu Huaishan's face turned to stone. His voice dropped low and cold enough to slice the air. Why is she bleeding? The director drew a steadying breath. Your wife's uterine wall is thin. The strain of delivery caused uterine atony, which led to the hemorrhage. Fu Huaishan's brows slammed together. Rage roared through his chest. And you didn't think to tell me this before. His voice cracked like a whip down the corridor, freezing everyone within earshot. The director rushed to speak. Mr. Fu, please stay calm. Your wife is strong. We will do everything in our power to save. Fu Huaishan cut him off. Listen to me. If anything happens to my wife, you and this hospital will answer for it. He spun and barked an order. Bodyguard. Seal this floor. Yes, sir. The bodyguard snapped to attention and led a squad of men, boxing in the delivery room entrance. The director knew arguing was useless. He turned and hurried into the sterilization room, rushing to join the emergency team. Fu Huaishan stood like a statue, spine rigid, eyes fixed on the double doors. His fists clenched so hard the veins on the backs of his hands stood out in sharp ridges. His lips pressed into a thin line, and he made no sound. But the tight set of his jaw, the faint tremor in his chin, betrayed the storm tearing through him. The words pounded in his head, over and over. I'm waiting for you to come home. Don't leave me again. I can't live without you. Please, don't leave me. Time crawled. Every second stretched unbearably long. Fu Huaishan felt his heartbeat slow, each thought a sharp reminder that his wife was still in there, still fighting. He didn't know how long it had been when the delivery room door finally groaned open. His body jerked. His gaze flew to the figure stepping out. The director, exhaustion carved deep into his face. Behind him, the doctors wore identical expressions of relief. Before Fu Huaishan could speak, the director said, Mr. Fu, we've stabilized your wife. The cold tension in Fu Huaishan's chest loosened. Just a fraction. He dragged in a breath. I want to see my wife. It wasn't a request. It was a command. The director nodded quickly. Of course. She'll be moved to the intensive care unit shortly. Follow the nurse to get scrubbed in, and you can see her. Fu Zhixuan crossed to where Yunshu lay, his strides stiff and measured. Her eyes were closed. Her cheeks had gone pale, completely drained of color. Even her naturally pink lips were dry and bloodless. Sweat-soaked strands of hair clung to her face. The belly that had been so long was now flat. The critical care ward's air conditioner hummed, but Fu Zhixuan felt nothing but cold, a chill radiating from somewhere deep inside him. He finally reached her and saw the exhaustion carved into her face. She looked barely there. He reached out and touched her forehead, so gentle, so careful. Under the hospital lights she lay there like a fragile doll. Sensing his touch, Yunshu slowly opened her eyes. When she saw him, the corners of her lips lifted. Honey. Her soft voice seemed to rise from deep within her, and it shook him to his core. Yunshu, he crouched down, meeting her eyes. His own glistened with tears. Did you see the baby? He looks just like you. Yunshu, does it hurt? He knew she was hurting, but no other words would come. In that moment, his heart had no room for the child, only for Yunshu, who had nearly slipped away from him. Yunshu managed a weak smile. It doesn't hurt. Fu Zhixuan's heart clenched. He pressed his cold lips to her forehead, then turned his head away so she wouldn't see the tears threatening to fall. 24 hours later, Yunshu passed the critical period and was transferred back to a regular ward. After such a long sleep, she had regained some strength. Seeing the worried faces gathered around her bed, she kept telling everyone she was fine. Their hearts ached. She had walked through death's door, how could she be fine? She just didn't want them to worry. Despite the massive bleeding during childbirth, Yunshu had delivered naturally and recovered quickly. At Fu Zhixuan's insistence, she stayed in the hospital for 10 days before being discharged to their home. A nanny had already been hired, so childcare was the last thing she needed to worry about. Fu Zhixuan paid almost no attention to the baby. His entire focus was on Yunshu. He personally took care of every detail of her daily life, her meals, her drinks, everything. After the birth, Yunshu wanted to feed the baby herself, but Fu Zhixuan absolutely refused. He said formula had all the nutrition she needed and that she'd already been through enough. He didn't want her exhausting herself feeding the baby every day. Remembering how badly the bleeding had terrified him, Yunshu didn't push it. And honestly, the formula he bought really was top quality. Throughout her postpartum period, Yunshu did whatever she wanted. A nutritionist and a recovery therapist checked in daily, designing a scientific postnatal care plan. There was no need to bundle up or avoid certain foods. Whatever helped her body heal, Fu Zhixuan fully supported. Most women observed 1 month of postpartum rest. Fu Zhixuan made her do a full 42 days. She hadn't felt much difference during the recovery period, but the moment it ended, the air itself seemed fresher. Master Fu came to their home every single day. Even though the baby mostly slept, just watching him made the old man happy. And Shan Yishuang. Ever since the baby arrived, he hadn't gone home. He stayed at their home. Whenever the nanny changed diapers or gave the baby a bath, he followed right along. He even stopped playing his favorite games and started changing diapers himself. He basically became that ridiculously devoted baby uncle from the viral memes obsessed with diaper duty and bath time. After her postpartum period ended, Yunshu began learning from the nanny how to care for the baby. Her days grew full and satisfying. On the baby's 50th day, Fu Zhixuan finally remembered to name him. After much deliberation, he settled on Fu Xingyu. The name meant the child would shine like a star, full of hope and light. If Yunshu hadn't reminded him several times, he probably would have kept putting it off. For Fu Zhixuan, He wasn't all that excited about this child's arrival. In most families, preferring daughters over sons is just talk. With Fu Zhixuan, it was real. One day, chatting casually, Yunshu joked, "Honey, you don't seem to like boys very much. What if I have a girl for you?" She was only teasing, curious to see his reaction. But the moment Fu Zhixuan heard her mention having another child, his face turned to stone. His brows furrowed hard. Fear and unease flickered in his eyes. "No more. One is enough." His tone was absolute, leaving no room for negotiation. He couldn't bear to imagine Yunshu enduring childbirth again, the pain, the risk. That was something he would never accept. On the baby's 2-month celebration, their home brimmed with joy. A grand, warm banquet filled the estate. Only close friends of the parents were invited, making sure this special moment was shared with those who mattered most. No media were allowed, keeping the celebration private and intimate. Yunshu appeared at the banquet in a magnificent gown, walking gracefully beside Fu Zhixuan. She was stunning. No one would guess she'd just given birth. Instead, she radiated a mature elegance that made her even more captivating. Guests kept remarking that she didn't look like a mother at all, as if time had barely touched her. In her arms, little Fu Zhixuan wore a tiny custom suit. He looked adorable. When he wasn't smiling, his features were a miniature copy of Fu Zhixuan's proof of the power of genetics. The little one became the center of attention, drawing everyone's affection. And Fu Zhixuan wasn't shy. The crowd coming and going didn't faze him at all. He slept when he was tired, and when he was awake, he took everything in, showing none of the stranger anxiety typical of a newborn. Fu Zhixuan hadn't touched a drop at their wedding. But at their son's full moon banquet, he drank himself into oblivion. By the time the last guest left, he was passed out cold. In the middle of the night, Yunshu woke up thirsty. She clicked on the bedside lamp and reached for her water glass, then noticed the empty space beside her. Fu Zhixuan. She scanned the room. No answer. She slid out of bed and checked the entire master suite. He wasn't there. Grabbing a robe, she padded into the hallway. As she passed the nursery, his deep voice drifted through the door. "Fu Zhixuan, your mother nearly bled to death bringing you into this world. If you ever make her angry, I'll tan your little hide. You understand me?" A baby's gurgle answered, bright and clear. "Laugh. Laughing won't save you. Don't think just because your mom gave birth to you that I'll go easy." His tone was deliberately gruff. Yunshu peeked through the crack in the door. There was Fu Zhixuan in his pajamas, cradling little Xia in both arms. That tall man holding that tiny bundle, heartwarming and comical all at once. It was the first time she'd seen him hold their son. Usually, the nanny or Su Shang'an did it. But his grip looked so natural, he had to have been practicing in secret. "Ga, gu," another burst of baby babble, a genuine, happy coo, nothing like the polite little laugh he gave strangers. Fu Zhixuan stared down at the toothless baby, and his usually stern, cold face actually softened into a visible smile. Yunshu didn't go in. She watched for another moment, then turned back toward their bedroom, leaving the tender father-son duo to their private conversation. So Fu Zhixuan wasn't incapable of love. He just showed it in a way that was different from most people. Xia was the child of their love, the baby she'd almost died to bring into the world. How could he not love him? How could he not? 3 years later, Fu Zhixuan was free now. Ever since he started kindergarten, his baby fat had been melting away at visible speed. Standing next to Fu Zhixuan, no one had to ask, anyone could tell they were father and son. Yunshu had graduated from university and was now buried in prep for her graduate school entrance exams. Every single day was a whirlwind. Su Shang'an had gone abroad to study earlier that year, so the responsibility of raising the little guy fell squarely on Fu Zhixuan's shoulders. Yet, there were maids and nannies in the house, but Xinyu was ridiculously clingy with his father. The second Fu Zhixuan came home from work, no favorite toy or cartoon could stop the boy from latching onto his dad's leg like a koala. A lot of times, when Yunshu got back from class, she'd find Fu Zhixuan holding a baby bottle in one hand, shaking it, while Xinyu wrapped himself around his thigh and planted his bottom right on his father's shoe. The man would walk, and the little boy shuffled right along with him, babbling pure nonsense. When Xinyu finally tired of the game and let go, there'd be a damp, glossy patch on Fu Zhixuan's legs. These days, except for weekends when Xinyu got shipped off to the old mansion, Fu Zhixuan took him everywhere. A few times, he even brought the boy into the office. In the conference room, Fu Zhixuan would sit at the head of the table, listening to department reports. Little Xinyu roamed freely, no fussing, no noise, just curious exploration. When he got bored, he'd trot right out of the conference room and wander across the entire corporate headquarters. Safety wasn't an issue, Zhou Yiyan shadowed his every step. Only when he was completely exhausted would the little guy toddle back in on his chunky legs, climb unsteadily into Fu Zhixuan's lap, and drift off to sleep. Yunshu hadn't been on board at first. She worried Xinyu would disrupt the work environment. But Fu Zhixuan had answered with absolute seriousness. He's going to run all of this someday. Might as well learn the floor plan now. She had no comeback for that. As Xinyu's visits to the office grew more frequent, Fu Zhixuan had the meeting room next to his converted into a playroom. Xinyu was a good kid after being told exactly once that he should nap in the next room. He never again fell asleep on his father during a meeting. The day after Yunshu passed her graduate entrance exams, little Xinyu was packed off to the old mansion. Fu Zhixuan took her straight to the airport for a vacation. Honey, Xinyu is a big boy now. Won't it be bad if we just disappear like this? On the jet, Yunshu watched Fu Zhixuan study a stock chart on his laptop. He closed the screen and turned his handsome face toward her. Wife, we're on vacation. You can forget about him. Forget? He was their son. He made it sound like they were talking about a stray. Fu Zhixuan didn't answer. He just gave a solemn nod. But honey. She didn't get to finish. His mouth sealed over hers. Their vacation lasted 3 full months. If Yunshu hadn't finally said she wanted to go home, Fu Zhixuan would have happily stayed even longer. The moment their private jet touched down, little Xinyu came running from a distance, with Zhou Yiyan close behind. She had missed him so much. Yunshu crouched and opened her arms, ready for that flying tackle of a hug. But just as Xinyu's little legs reached her, just as they were about to collide, a pair of large hands scooped him clean off the ground. One swift move, and the ball was secure in Fu Zhixuan's arms. The man's face turned stern. Boys don't need to be so clingy. But, Daddy, I miss Mommy. Miss her. No hugging. She's mine. You want someone to hug? Get your own wife when you grow up. Wife? What's a wife, Daddy? Your wife is your partner for life. Partner for life. Like the pieces Grandpa plays chess with. Fu Zhixuan looked defeated. Behind them, Yunshu couldn't hold back her laugh. Xinyu clung to them for a long time after being apart so long. When night fell, he insisted Yunshu sleep with him. By the time Fu Zhixuan came out of the study and returned to the master bedroom, Yunshu was gone. He didn't hesitate, turned straight around and walked to the nursery next door. Mother and son were fast asleep on the bed. Xinyu's tiny hand rested against Yunshu's cheek. Half asleep, she felt herself being lifted. She opened her eyes to see her husband's face, dark and unhappy, as he carried her back to their room. Xinyu said he really missed me and wanted me to sleep with him tonight. I told him I would, she explained. I need you to sleep with me, too. You made me that promise a long time ago. His tone was dead serious. He's still a child. What are you even jealous of? I'm old now. Can't I be jealous? Fine. She surrendered. The man was full of twisted logic. The next morning, little Xinyu woke up, saw the stuffed toy beside him instead of his mother, and felt a deep wave of disappointment. Fu Zhixuan woke up and made a beeline for the master bedroom door. His little fist had barely landed one knock when Li Jun, coming up the stairs, spotted him and scooped him up. Uncle Li, I want to see mommy. The kid was still sulking over last night. Yunshu had promised to sleep with him and then bailed. Yeah, be good. Mommy's still resting. You'll see her later, okay? But I have school soon. Then come find her when you get back this afternoon. Li Jun kept his voice gentle. Oh. Okay. What did a kid who got chauffeured to school in a Rolls Royce really have to worry about? Well, a dad who was insanely jealous and kept hugging mommy all to himself, for starters. Inside the master bedroom, Yunshu caught the faint sound of a knock. She listened again. Silence. She sat up, about to swing her legs over the edge of the bed, when a strong arm locked around her waist. Wife. Stay. Sleep with me. Fu Zhixuan wasn't even fully awake. His eyes were still shut, his deep voice rough with sleep. I didn't get any time with Yo-Yo last night. I'm taking him to school today. There's Li Jun. There's a driver. There's a nanny. Translation, plenty of people to deal with one little boy. Yunshu stared at him. But I'm his mother. Wife. Just a little longer. Please. As he spoke, his body pressed against hers. His eyes were open now, and something dark and hungry flickered in them. She'd been with this man for years. Yunshu knew exactly what that look meant. She gave him a sweet smile. Okay. The next second, she tried to roll free. But she knew Fu Zhixuan, and he knew her just as well. The instant she moved, his arms tightened, pulling her back into an inescapable grip. She didn't get far. Wife, you're being naughty. Fu Zhixuan, Yo-Yo is waiting for me. Just a little while. I'll be quick. He was already lowering himself over her. 2 hours later. Yunshu lay sprawled across the mattress like a fish washed up on shore, cheeks flushed, struggling to catch her breath. She should have known. When he said a little while, this was exactly what he meant. Her bright eyes shot daggers at the very satisfied man sitting on the edge of the bed. Forget taking Fu Zhixuan to school. If she lay here any longer, kindergarten would be letting out. She missed drop-off. But she would damn well make pick-up. She was not about to become the kind of mother who broke promises in her son's eyes. By the time Yunshu reached the kindergarten, the dismissal bell had just rung. She stood outside the gate with the other parents, scanning the playground. A line of kids filed out under their teacher's supervision. She spotted her son immediately. Fu Zhixuan stood at the very back, a full head taller than everyone else in his class. That gorgeous little face was a thundercloud. Gloomy. Brooding. Like a storm was sitting right on top of him. Beside him stood a cute girl in a princess dress, chattering non-stop. He ignored her completely. One by one, the kids ahead of him were picked up. Fu Zhixuan just stood there, staring down at his clothes, lost in his own head. Yunshu stepped forward. He didn't notice. He stayed in his own little world, utterly indifferent to everything around him. Hello, and you're here for? A teacher smiled at her. Yunshu smiled back. Hi. I'm here for Fu Zhixuan. I'm his mom. The teacher nodded. Oh, of course. One moment. She turned and called, Fu Zhixuan, your mom's here to pick you up. Come on over. His head lifted like he'd just snapped out of a dream. The moment he saw Yunshu standing right there, that rarely smiling face broke into a grin so huge and bright it was like sunlight piercing through clouds. The gloom vanished instantly. Mommy! He sprinted toward her. Yunshu crouched down and opened her arms. She swept him into a tight hug. Mommy, why are you here? He pulled back just enough to stare at her, those big eyes full of disbelief. I missed my yo-yo. So I came. She took his hand, and they walked toward the curb. Li Jun was already waiting by the Rolls-Royce. He opened the door the second he saw them. Inside, Fu Zhixuan scrambled straight onto Yunshu's lap. He buried his little head against her, nuzzling in. People said babies went through a mommy phase. But when he was tiny, Fu Zhixuan hadn't clung to anyone. Anyone could hold him. After he turned 3, he shadowed Fu Huaishan for a while, but ever since they came back from their honeymoon, he became insanely clingy with Yunshu. Like his mommy face just decided to show up late. Yeah, I'm sorry. Mommy broke her promise last night. She owed him that apology. He was little, but he wasn't clueless. Back in her world, she'd grown up without parents. She didn't have a manual for being a good mother. But she knew exactly what kind of mother she needed as a kid. So she used that as her compass. Rule number 1, no lying. At her apology, Fu Zhixuan reached up and rubbed her cheek. It's okay, Mommy. I know it was Daddy being bad. Yes. It was all Daddy's fault. Hearing her agree made the little boy feel totally understood. He broke into a happy smile, but it only lasted about 2 seconds before his face clouded over again. What's wrong, Yao? She caught it immediately. He looked down, fidgeting with his fingers. It's just, tonight, Mommy still can't sleep with me. His voice was drenched in disappointment. Yunshu studied his face. The truth was, she'd never really slept with him since the day he was born. Last night had been an hour, tops. She thought for a moment, then spoke to Li Jun. Li Jun, take us to the Su family home. Not the Fu mansion. Yes, ma'am. Li Jun began relaying instructions to the driver. The little boy had been staring at the floor. Now his head lifted, confused. Mommy, we're not going home. Today, we're going to Mommy's home. Is Daddy coming too? He searched her eyes. No. Mommy won't let him. A joyful cry burst from little Fu Zhixuan's lips. Yes. Mom was taking him to her house. And Dad wasn't coming. That meant he got to sleep in her bed tonight. He was over the moon. His gloomy little face split into a huge, bright smile. Su Zhixuan was still overseas, so only a few servants were at the Yun residence. The moment they saw Yunshu walk in holding Fu Zhixuan's hand, every one of them lit up. Fu Zhixuan had never been to the Yun house before. When he heard this was where his mom and uncle grew up, he was beside himself with excitement. Yunshu gave him a full tour. In her old bedroom, he went even wilder, rolling all over the bed. He announced that the whole room smelled like Mom, so he was definitely going to sleep great tonight. Watching him laugh, Yunshu felt a deep warmth spread through her chest. Then a strange voice rang out from downstairs. Hey, Yun family. Your daughter Zhou Qimeng is a con artist. She stole everything my family had. You people need to answer for this. Pay up. You're all a bunch of liars. Nothing but crooks, every last one of you. Yunshu took Fu Zhixuan's hand and walked downstairs. Several servants were clustered by the window, talking in anxious voices. What's going on? Yunshu asked, her voice cool. The servants spun around. One of them answered, Miss, that Su Shanglan is back again. What do you mean, again? Well, he's been here a few times before. He keeps saying Zhou Qimeng wiped out the Su family fortune, and he's going to camp out here until she pays him back. The young master was home once and kicked him out. But he came back not long ago. We called the young master a few days back, and he said to just ignore him. Su Shanglan. If she hadn't bumped into him today, Yunshu would have almost forgotten the man existed. Wasn't he the so-called big catch Zhou Qimeng had latched onto when she got pregnant out of wedlock? Apparently, after Zhou Qimeng died, Su Zhixuan dove right back into his playboy ways and took up gambling. He racked up a massive debt. Debt collectors tracked him all the way to the Su house. Once they cleared out every single thing of value, there was still a huge gap left to pay. So Su Zhixuan turned on his own parents. After shipping his 2 comatose parents off to a cheap rural nursing home, he sold the Su family properties, stocks, and funds at fire sale prices. He grabbed every last cent and headed straight back to the casino. He swore he was going to win it all back. Instead, he lost everything. Broke and with no friends left, he wound up sleeping under bridge tunnels and in parks. Then one day he saw the coverage of Yunshu and Fu Zhixuan's extravagant island wedding. That's when his mind circled back to Zhou Qimeng. He blamed her for everything that had happened to him. And then he started calculating. Now that Yunshu was married into a powerhouse family, if he showed up at the Yun house claiming Zhou Qimeng had stolen his whole fortune, surely they'd pay him off just to save face. Sure, the news had already made it public that Zhou Qimeng wasn't Su Zhixuan's biological daughter. But she had lived under this roof. If he caused a big enough scene, the Yun family would cave and throw him some cash just to make him disappear. So Su Zhixuan started showing up every few days to stir up trouble. The last time, Su Zhixuan had beaten him back. But today, Su Zhixuan spotted a Rolls-Royce pulling up to the Yun house. He figured Yunshu must be home. If he really raised hell now, she wouldn't want the humiliation. So he started shouting outside the Yun family's front gate. The racket drew the neighbors. Everyone knew the Yun family saga by now, and since he'd done this so many times, a few of them tried to talk sense into him. Kid, nobody lives here anymore. Yelling's not going to help. Yeah, the oldest daughter's married into the Fu family now. Keep this up and the Fu family gets wind of it. You'll get a whole lot more than you bargained for. Su Zhixuan wasn't budging. I'm not scared. A debt's a debt. It's only right to pay it back. And besides, I saw someone just come in. I'm staying right here and shouting. You deadbeats aren't getting away with this. With that, he planted himself right on the Yun family's doorstep. A bodyguard walked out, his expression icy. Are you going to live on your own, or do I have to make you? See? I told you someone was in there. Su Zhixuan's voice shot even louder, pulling in more onlookers. I'm not going anywhere. This is a rule of law society. What are you gonna do to me? A debt has to be repaid. I don't care if Zhou Qimeng's related to you or not. Her last name is Zhou, but she lived here, so I'm coming straight to the Yun family. The bodyguard didn't answer. He just walked straight towards Su Zhixuan. Murder! Everybody, look! Murder! Before the bodyguard even got close, Su Zhixuan started screaming. He wasn't a rich kid anymore. He turned into a full-blown thug. The instant the bodyguard's hand closed on his shoulder, Su Zhixuan dropped to the ground, still wailing, they're trying to kill me. They won't pay up, so now they're trying to murder me. Another bodyguard moved in to clamp a hand over his mouth, but stopped short at the sound of a voice from inside the gate. Let him shout. Yunshu stepped out the front door, still holding Fu Zhixuan's hand. She stopped, lifted her chin just slightly, and swept her cold gaze over Su Zhixuan. Her eyes were like a winter moon, sharp enough to make anyone shiver. Right beside her, Fu Zhixuan stood with the same expressionless face. His small features were hard and cold. The two of them looked at Su Zhixuan like they were watching a ridiculous monkey show. Pure contempt and mockery written all over their faces. At last, Su Zhixuan had the attention of the woman he'd been waiting for. His heart leaped. He rushed forward, putting on his most pitiful act. Miss Yun, you got to help me. Zhou Qimeng took every last cent my family had. I'm absolutely desperate. As he spoke, he made an exaggerated show of wiping away tears that weren't even there. I've got no home. I can't even buy food or water. I know Zhou Qimeng isn't really your family, but she's gone now, and I've got nowhere else to go. That's why I came to you. His voice climbed higher with every word. Miss Yun, now that you've married into the Fu family, a few million must be pocket change, right? Just take pity on me. I swear I'll never bother the Yun family again. But through it all, Yun-shu didn't move a muscle. Her face stayed completely cold. No anger. No excitement. Nothing. Tens of millions is pocket change to me. But why should I give you a single cent? Yun-shu's cold gaze settled on Gu Hongxian. Be because of Zhou Qimeng. He stammered, as if it were obvious. She came from the Yun family. Even if she wasn't your father's blood, she still carried the Yun name. Before Yun-shu could answer, Fu Zhixuan piped up at her side. Mom, is his brain broken? Does every person named Yun in the whole world have to be related to us? The kid's innocent question pulled sneakers from the onlookers, all aimed at Gu Hongxian. This kid's got a point. Yeah, there are thousands of people with that last name. His logic makes zero sense. If you ask me, he's just trying to mooch off the Yun family. A grown man saying he can't afford to eat. What a disgrace. The murmurs grew loud enough to make Gu Hongxuan's face flash scarlet, then pale. But he was desperate, out of options, so he doubled down. I don't care. Zhou Qimeng came from here, so I'm coming to you for the money. If you won't pay up, I'm not leaving. He plopped onto the ground, brazenly unashamed. Yun-shu looked down at the man throwing a tantrum, her eyes icy. After a beat, she said flatly, even my 3-year-old finds your excuse pathetic. Try again, Gu Hongxian. Give me one good reason why I should hand you anything. Good reason? I don't need a reason. I just want money. And on what grounds do you think you're entitled to it? She countered. On what grounds? I'm entitled. He started to parrot her before realizing she'd caught him. You tricked me. He jabbed a finger at Fu Zhixuan, his face twisting. You little brat, who gave you the right to talk here? Put your hand down. Now. Or you'll regret it. Yun-shu's words came like knives wrapped in frost, her eyes flashing a clear warning. But Gu Hongxian, still fuming, didn't catch the danger. He didn't lower his hand. He stepped forward and jabbed it at them even harder. Yun-shu, I'm not putting it down. I'll point at you and this little. In the next instant, her leg shot out. Lethal precision. Her toe aimed straight at his pointing finger. Snap! The crisp sound of breaking bone echoed across the Yun family's front gate. Gu Hongxian hit the ground face first. His finger bent backward at a grotesque angle, bloodless and limp. The crowd instinctively took a big step back. No one had expected the eldest Yun daughter to actually throw a punch, and land it that well. Mom is so cool. Fu Zhixuan clapped and cheered, his eyes shining with pure adoration. His mom wasn't just beautiful. She was freaking awesome in a fight too. Way cooler than Ultraman on TV. Yun-shu gently patted his head, then walked slowly toward Gu Hongxian, who was groaning on the ground. Gu Hongxian, you should be grateful my son is here today. In her younger days, a finger pointed like that would have cost him half his body. Zhou Qimeng had pointed at her once and ended up in the hospital for a month. Yun-shu, you're so rich, why can't you just spare me a little? He wheezed, still fixated on money. Without Zhou Qimeng, why would I be in this mess? Yun-shu noticed the way his eyes flickered when he said Zhou Qimeng's name. A suspicion sparked. Fine, she said softly. You claim Zhou Qimeng ran off with your money and ruined you. I'll do you a favor. I'll help you find her. Sound good? Find her? Gu Hongxian couldn't believe his ears. Yun-shu nodded. The bystanders jumped in immediately. Yeah, kid, if you want your money back, wouldn't it make sense to let her find the person who took it? Exactly. She's not even part of this family anymore, and she's still offering to help. You should be thanking her. But the louder the crowd got, the paler Gu Hongshuan's face became. He scrambled to his feet, shaking his head. No, no. Don't bother. It wasn't that much money anyway. His reaction only solidified Yunshu's suspicion. Let me find her for you. You'll get your money back and a chance to rent. Win-win. No. I don't want to find her. I changed my mind. He turned to bolt, only to find Li Jun blocking his path. Yunshu, what's the meaning of this? I'm not asking for money anymore. I don't want your help finding anyone. Are you going to keep me here? Yes, she said, her voice resolute. You don't get to waltz in here and leave whenever you please. You came, so now we're settling everything today. Li Jun, take good care of Mr. Gu. And remember to help him find that person. Understood, ma'am. Li Jun signaled, and the guards escorted Gu Hongxian away. The crowd, sensing the show was over, dispersed. Mom, why would you help that guy find someone? Fu Zhixuan asked, puzzled. Because he's a liar. A liar? The boy didn't quite grasp the complexity. You'll understand once Uncle Li looks into it. She took his hand and led him inside. Come on, let's have dinner. After that, I'll give you a bath and put you to bed, okay? Yay! Little Fu Zhixuan threw both hands up, ecstatic. Not only would he get to sleep with Mom tonight, but she was even bathing him. This was the best. At Fu Corporation, Fu Huaishan had just stepped out of the meeting when Shan Wangzhong approached, his expression uneasy. Boss. Speak it out. Well, the missus took the young master back to the Yun mansion. Fu Huaishan nodded. Get the car ready. We'll head over. But, the missus said you're not allowed to come. She said tonight is her and the young master's special time. Shan Wangzhong dared a glance at the man behind the desk. The face that had been neutral moments ago darkened to a storm. She didn't want him there. Li Jun silently cursed his luck. What had he ever done to deserve this? Of all people, why stick him with that message? Boss, if there's nothing else, I'll head out. He wanted out of that office, fast. No good would come from staying. Fu Huaishan didn't answer. Li Jun turned to leave, but that ice-cold voice cut through the silence behind him. Get everyone. Department heads, meeting. Now. Yes, boss. Li Jun's face twisted. When the titans clashed, it was always the invisible people who got crushed in the middle. That night, dinner was a cheerful affair. Fu Zhixuan's laughter bounced off the dining room walls along with his non-stop chatter. He even ate an extra bowl of rice. After the meal, Yunshu helped him review his preschool lessons, then gave him a bath and tucked him into bed. Fu Zhixuan's little face never stopped smiling. Seeing how much brighter the boy had become since she'd started spending time with him made Yunshu's heart swell. Mother and son talked softly under the gentle glow of the night light. Mom, I was so happy today. Fu Zhixuan kept his chubby little hand pressed against her cheek. Because Mom spent the whole day with Yo-Yo. A kid who has his mom is a treasure. Yunshu laughed. The way he said it, anyone would think she'd abandoned him before. So how about Mom stays with Yo-Yo as much as possible from now on? Fu Zhixuan thought for a moment. It's okay for now. But when I grow up, I'll find my own wife to stay with me. Yunshu blinked. Just like Dad. If he doesn't have his wife with him, he can't sleep. Yunshu blinked again. And my future wife has to be as beautiful and as cool as Mom. But don't worry, Mom. Even after I have a wife, I'll still love you. I don't believe you, she teased. I mean it. First I'll love my wife, then in second place I'll love you. Yunshu stared at him. Who taught you all that? She already had a strong suspicion, but she had to ask. Dad. Dad said when I grow up and have a wife, I'll love her first and you second. Dad also said the wife I choose for myself will be the one I love most. She knew it. Only Fu Zhixuan would be possessive enough to feed their son lines like that. Mom, tell me a story about the big bad wolf not eating Little Red Riding Hood. Not eating her? Isn't he supposed to eat her? Yunshu didn't catch on at first. No. Dad said Little Red Riding Hood is the big bad wolf's true love. So he won't eat her. Yunshu genuinely wanted to crack open Fu Zhixuan's skull and see exactly what he was teaching this kid. Night deepened. With Yunshu beside him, Fu Zhixuan finally closed his eyes and drifted off. Just as she was starting to fade, a soft click sounded at the door. She kept her eyes shut, pretending to be asleep. The footsteps were feather-light. Someone with ordinary hearing wouldn't have noticed a thing. The tall figure approached the bed, his shadow falling over them both in the dim glow of the nightlight. He undressed and climbed in, moving gently but fast. When his arms finally wrapped around that slender waist, the exhaustion of the entire day washed away, replaced by an indescribable sense of satisfaction. The king-sized bed had more than enough room for three. He hadn't meant to wake her. He assumed she was already asleep. But the feel of his body against hers stirred her. She slowly opened her eyes. Fu Zhixuan, go sleep in the guest room next door. Her voice was soft, full of resignation. The man didn't answer right away. He lowered his voice. No. Where my wife is, I am. Yunshu sighed. I've only been with Yu for 1 day. He didn't budge. I don't care. Wherever you are, I'm there. Yunshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're Fu Zhixuan. Is it really okay for you to be this needy? He didn't care. He almost sounded righteous. So what if I'm Fu Zhixuan? Does that mean I'm not allowed to be clingy with my own wife? Yunshu was defeated. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains and landed on Fu Zhixuan's face. He opened his eyes, stretched, and prepared to give his mom a warm good morning kiss. But when he turned his head, there was an uninvited guest in the bed. Fu Zhixuan. Fu Zhixuan's eyes went wide. His little face instantly cooled. For the rest of the morning, he was noticeably cold toward his father, shooting him sulky looks as if Fu Zhixuan had stolen his mom right out from under him. It didn't last. Fu Zhixuan leaned in and whispered something, and just like that, the tension melted away. A slow grin spread back across Fu Zhixuan's face, and his attitude eased. Curious, Yunshu couldn't help asking, Sweetheart, what did Daddy tell you? Fu Zhixuan gave a mischievous smile and put on a mysterious tone. Sorry, Mom. I can't tell you. It's a secret between men. Men? Secret? Yunshu was thoroughly amused. She glanced at Fu Zhixuan, who shot her a knowing look. On the drive to drop Fu Zhixuan at school, the little boy was just as cheerful as the day before. He chattered non-stop, sometimes telling funny stories from school, sometimes sharing little secrets. Back at Imperial Garden, Gu Hongxian came to report the investigation findings to Yunshu. The truth was close to what she already guessed. Ma'am, Su Zongyuan is locked in the dungeon now. How would you like to handle it? Yunshu looked out the window, lost in thought for a moment. If he's broken the law, hand him over to the police. Understood. Youngju, you really dug your own grave. You got pregnant before marriage, schemed your way into the Su family, and within months, you wound up dead. What a waste of a perfectly good hand. Ever since that day outside the Su family home, the day Fu Zhixuan watched his mom throw those brutal, precise punches, something had clicked in his brain. Watching Li Jun train every morning only locked it in. The kid made up his mind right then he wanted to be just as cool as his mother. So when Yunshu crossed the garden toward the pond that morning, looking for Li Jun to start their workout, it was the tiny figure beside him that stopped her cold. Xinjiao. The little body spun around. The second he spotted her, those stubby legs started pumping, charging straight for her. Mommy! Yunshu dropped into a crouch. Were you doing martial arts with Uncle Li just now? Fu Xingyou's cheeks were flushed, a fine sheen of sweat glistening on his forehead. He gave her a fierce little nod. Yeah, mommy. I'm learning Kung Fu. So one day I can be as cool as you. The dead serious expression on that soft baby face made Yunshu laugh out loud. But Kung Fu is super hard. Can you really stick with it? Yes. Alright, then. From now on, you train with Uncle Li. But mommy, Uncle Li says your Kung Fu is even better than his. Can't you teach Xingyou? The boy tipped his chin up, eyes wide with that complete trust only a child can have. Kids always put the people they admire on a pedestal. Well, mommy's better at finishing the fight. When it comes to technique, Uncle Li's the expert. No way. Her moves were built for lethal endings. Teaching a 4-year-old that? Absolutely not. Okay. I'll study with Uncle Li first. Once I beat him, I'll challenge you, mommy. Fu Xingyou's face was a granite mask of determination. Deal. Mommy accepts. From that day on, whenever Fu Xingyou didn't have school, you'd find that little figure trailing Li Jun through the garden, mimicking every stance and strike. Yunshu sometimes stepped in to offer a pointer, but mostly she taught him strategy, how to read an opponent, when to hold, when to move, how to think in a fight. Master Fu hadn't seen the boy in a while. After a single game of chess with his grandson, the old man was raving. In his own words, the boy has my style from the old days. Give him time, and he'll eclipse me. When Xingyou listened through an explanation that Yunshu was the one who taught him those chess tricks and schemes, the old man's delight kicked up another notch. Like mother, like son. Master Fu's affection for Yunshu didn't need saying. And now, seeing Fu Xingyou bloom under her guidance, the old man wanted to phone every last one of his military buddies and brag at least 800 times a day. That weekend, Yunshu was at the stables with Xingyou, giving Xiaobai a bath. Kids seem born with some invisible link to animals. Even though he didn't visit often, the boy had an easy, natural warmth with the horse. And Xiaobai was smart. The moment the stallion clocked that this short-legged human belonged to his owner, he turned impossibly gentle. Every time Fu Xingyou wanted to ride, Xiaobai would lower himself without being asked and then carry the little boy around the grounds in slow, swaying circles. At first, the stable hands hovered nervously, certain Xiaobai might throw a tantrum or shake the kid off. Yunshu told them not to worry. Xiaobai won't drop him. And he didn't. Not once. The horse would even twitch his flanks now and then, just to hear the little guy on his back burst into happy giggles. Bath done, Fu Xingyou wanted to ride. Xiaobai ignored the puddles splashing across the washroom floor, lay down, and waited patiently for the boy to climb on. They were just stepping out when Li Jun walked up, his face set in a hard line. What's wrong? Yunshu asked. Ma'am, there are people at the Royal Garden Estate gate. They're asking for you. People? Li Jun nodded. Didn't recognize them. Not from the capital. What do they want? Nothing. Just you. And they brought a lot of vehicles. More than a dozen cars were blocking the entrance. No demands, no explanation, only Yunshu's name. Sensing trouble, Li Jun had already dispatched the full security team. I'll go see. Have someone watch Xingyou. Yes, ma'am. The stable hands got the order and hustled the little boy back toward the main house. By the time Yunshu and Li Jun reached the main gate, the long line of vehicles was visible from a distance. Parked in perfect, precise rows, every one of them sleek and luxurious. Tinted windows caught the sunlight, throwing discreet flashes. Engines hummed in a low, expectant idle. The hand-forged wrought iron gates swung open in a slow, silent arc. As if sharing a single mind, the car doors opened in near-perfect unison. Yunshu stepped forward, her eyes locked on those opening doors. An uncanny feeling buzzed just beneath her ribcage. Then the doors were wide, and more than a dozen figures filed out. Their movements were synchronized, steps solid. Every one of them was highly trained. They stopped at the entrance. All eyes found Yungshu. Before she could speak, tears were already cutting tracks down their faces. And then Yungshu saw them clearly. Her heart jolted hard. The cool, composed corners of her mouth lifted, without her permission. Her steady eyes grew glassy. Boss! 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 The voices crashed together, a thunderclap that rolled across the royal garden estate, echoing long after the song faded. Now, in the main living room, Yungshu sat at the head. The others occupied the sofas lining both walls. Boss, we finally found you, woo! Everybody else had wrangled their tears under control, but number 6 was still sobbing like a kid. Yungshu looked around at her brothers, her people from X world. The emotion rising in her chest refused to settle, but she kept her face as composed as ever. Are you all okay? She finally asked, her voice soft. Yeah, boss. We're good. Don't sweat it, boss. Everything's fine. And now that we found you, it's even better. They all talked over each other, every face lit with joy. Only Yungshu knew exactly how brutal the road from that world to this one had been. Boss, you said you'd take us with you. Then you left on your own. We don't want the money you left behind. We just want to follow you. Number 6 finally stopped crying, but the words tumbled out in a rush, urgent and raw. Wherever you go, we're with you. The night she left, she had given them everything she owned. She had no way to know what the journey back would demand, so she couldn't drag her brothers into that danger. But they'd come anyway. How long have you been here? She asked. 2 years. We searched every corner of the globe. Finally tracked you down. That was number 2. His eyes were healed now. His clean-cut face wore a calm, handsome expression. But everyone in that room understood back at the base, number 2 was second only to the boss. It wasn't until the next morning that anyone realized Yungshu was gone. Her room was emptied out. All they found were the ancient medal on the bed and the stack of cash she'd left behind. They launched a worldwide hunt across the parallel world, burning every channel and contact they had. Nothing. Then one day, number 2 crossed paths with an old man who said some very strange things. Back at base, he picked up that medal again. The old man's words about a parallel world echoed in his head. He started digging. When he told the others that Yungshu might have crossed into another world, the response was unanimous. Wherever the boss went, they were going too. The tunnel nearly killed them, every single one. But that relentless drive to find Yungshu kept them breathing, kept them moving. When they finally staggered out, they weren't in the imperial capital. They landed in a war-torn Eastern European country. They adapted fast. Dealing with chaos had always been the job. Once things were stable, number 2 laid out a global search plan. It took more than a year, but eventually, they found her. The second they saw Yungshu's photo, they knew. They didn't need to confirm in person. It was all in her eyes. They crossed the globe at breakneck speed and finally reached her. Mommy! A soft, milky voice drifted from the staircase, cutting through the slight tension in the living room. Everyone turned. Fu Zhixuan stood at the bottom of the steps, his big eyes blinking up at them. Whoa! Boss, is this your son? Number 6 blurted. Yungshu nodded and waved him over. Xinjiao, come here. Meet your aunties and uncles. They're mommy's family. Fu Zhixuan walked over with perfect manners and gave a small bow. Hello, aunties and uncles. I'm Fu Zhixuan. I'm 3 years old. So cute. Number 6 shot up from the couch and crouched down to his level, her hand hovering just shy of his cheek. Zhixuan, I'm your 6th auntie. Is it okay if I touch you? The little boy nodded politely. Yes. Mommy's family is Xinyo's family. Oh my gosh, what a good boy. Boss, your son is seriously adorable. Xinjiao, I'm your second uncle. Xinjiao, I'm your 11th uncle. And me, I'm your 9th uncle. Everyone rushed to introduce themselves. Fu Zhixuan took it all in stride, greeting each of them with a warm, innocent smile that melted every heart in the room. Then number 6's hand drifted toward the gun at her waist. Number 2 stopped her instantly. What's wrong? Number 6 asked, genuinely confused. He's a child. Number 2 rubbed his forehead. So, you think the boss's kid would be weak? I was gonna give it to him as a gift. Later I'll let him play with a rocket launcher. She genuinely didn't see the problem, completely forgetting this was the 21st century, not the parallel world. Little Fu Zhixuan just blinked up at them, oblivious. Yunshu, however, understood perfectly. She cleared her throat. Ahem. Put that away for now. He's far too young. Right, did you forget we're not at the base anymore? Number 11 cut in. It finally clicked for number 6. She yanked her hand back and scratched her head, embarrassed. Sorry, boss. I really forgot. I forgot. Back at base, kids grew up playing with firearms. She was so used to gifting them to children that the habit had followed her here. Just as everyone was laughing and chatting, the distant roar of a plane landing shifted their expressions. Instantly, they were all on alert. The driver stepped inside and bowed respectfully. Madam, the young master has returned from his business trip. Yunshu nodded and turned to the group. My husband's home. Come meet him. The tension evaporated. If this was Yunshu's husband, there was nothing to fear. The sound of leather shoes drew closer until Fu Zhixuan appeared in the doorway, a tall silhouette in a black suit. His brows furrowed slightly at the crowd gathered behind Yunshu. Fu Zhixuan ran right up to him. Daddy! Mommy's family is here. Honey, they're my family, Yunshu said gently. They came from far away. Before Fu Zhixuan could respond, number 6 blurted out, Boss. So this is the guy you couldn't stop thinking about late at night back at the base. A flicker of embarrassment crossed Yunshu's face, but she nodded. Fu Zhixuan stepped forward. The ice in his expression melted the moment he heard her call them family. Hello. I'm Fu Zhixuan, Shu's husband. His voice was warm and steady, none of its usual chill. Hey, I'm the boss's 6th sister, number 6 said with her natural ease. Back at base, she'd always been the one gathering intel. Hello. I'm the boss's 2nd brother. I'm the boss's 11th brother. One by one, they introduced themselves. It was easy. Natural. It already felt like family. Fu Zhixuan didn't ask questions about these family members Yunshu had mentioned. No investigations, no probing. Her family was his family. With all these people around, Eugene Garden buzzed with an energy it hadn't seen in a long time. At dinner, the table was packed, laughter and chatter flowing freely. Number 6 suggested a round of drinks. Everyone agreed immediately. Fu Zhixuan had the driver wheel out a cart of rare wines. The moment Yunshu saw those bottles, her mouth watered, but she kept quiet. She didn't need to ask. Number 6 grabbed a bottle and held it out to her. Boss. It's been forever since we drank together. Come on, tonight we drink till we drop. I can't drink. Yunshu said it flatly. The lively atmosphere around the table hit an instant pause. Boss, what do you mean you can't drink? Back at the base, none of us could outdrink you, number 6 said, refusing to believe it. Number 11 chimed in. Yeah, the night you left, you drank every single one of us under the table. Boss, are you not feeling well? Number 2 asked. Yunshu met their eyes honestly. This body can't handle it. One glass, and I'm out. Number 6 froze. Number 2 stared. Every one of her brothers from the base sat in stunned silence. A low male voice cut through the noise at the table. You can't drink. I'll drink for her. That works. Boss can hold her liquor, her man stepping up is the same thing. Hell yeah. Tonight we get wasted with the boss's man. Let's go. The dining room erupted. Bottles and shot glasses covered the table, but nobody was bothering with glasses anymore. Fu Zhixuan drank straight from the bottle, matching every single one of them. The card emptied fast. The bodyguard went for a second round. By the time Yunshu got Fu Zhixuan to sleep and came back downstairs, half the dining room was sprawled out cold on the floor. Fu Zhixuan was drunk too. His handsome face was flushed, but the second he saw her, his eyes lit up. Wife! Yunshu walked over and pressed her palm to his cheek, her brow tight. You okay? You drank a lot. She'd never seen him put away that much before. Fu Zhixuan let his head fall into the curve of her neck. No, I'm fine. She took the hangover soup from the bodyguard, coaxed it into him, then helped him back to their room. The next morning, shots and cheers rang out from the garden. Yunshu stood in fighting gear, locked in a brutal spar with number 2. Every strike landed heavy, aggressive. Nothing like her usual controlled sessions with the bodyguard. Gu Hongxian, the bodyguard, and the rest of them lined up watching, voices loud. Get him, number 2. Boss, take him down. Don't hold back, boss. Bodyguard, the missus is even sharper than before. You sure you can still hold your own? Gu Hongxian was stirring things up, same as always. She didn't get sharper. She was holding back the whole time. The bodyguard knew exactly how tough Yunshu was. He'd been her punching bag long enough. Our boss is incredible. Back then, every major player in the region treated her with nothing but respect. Number 6 lifted her chin, full of pride. Gu Hongxuan's gossip instincts flared. He sidled closer. Oh yeah? Come on, big sister, give us the details. Big sister. I'm younger than you. No way. You look older. Can I call someone older big sister? Gu Hongxian didn't notice her face darkening. No girl wants to be called old. Bullshit. Hey, you don't want to talk. Fine. But swearing. That's just rude. He didn't finish. He had to duck. Don't start with me. I don't hit women. Number 6 eyes narrowed. You're a dead man today. She came at him, fists heavy and fast. Gu Hongxian dodged at first, but when he realized she meant it, he had to start defending himself. Everyone who'd been watching Yunshu and number 2 turned to stare at Gu Hongxian and number 6 tearing across the lawn. Even the bodyguard's stoic face cracked the faintest smile. Gu Hongxian was his brother, a smart-mouthed one. Watching someone else handle him was weirdly satisfying. By the time the group headed back into the main building for breakfast, Gu Hongxian was still running for his life across the garden. His excuse stayed the same. He didn't hit women. But the woman chasing him was absolutely determined to hit him today. Fu Zhixuan had gotten up, taken one look at the chase scene, then laced his fingers through Yunshu's and led everyone inside to eat. In the end, Yunshu had to step in and call number 6 off. But number 6 made herself clear. Next time she saw Gu Hongxian, she was beating him on sight. The group stayed at the estate for 3 days. Then it was time to head back to Eastern Europe. They built their own base there. Now that they'd found Yunshu, they needed to go back and relocate some things. Logistics to untangle, loose ends to tie up. Yunshu didn't stop them. They'd been her subordinates once, but now they had their own lives. After introducing a network expert to oversee the migration, the group boarded the private jet Fu Zhixuan had arranged. On the plane, number 2 opened the envelope Fu Zhixuan had handed him before they left. Inside was a check for 1 billion euros. Tucked next to it, a business card with the name and direct contact information of the Eastern European head of state. Money and a door that opened anywhere. In the chaos of Eastern Europe, those 2 things were the ultimate pass. Damn, the boss's man is seriously something else. Number 7 flipped the card over and over, voice pitching high with excitement. You think? Did you really think the boss was weak? Number 6 shot him a look. No way. Number 7 answered fast. Nobody wanted to piss her off right now. And the man she chose. You think she'd pick someone weak? She pressed. How? Definitely not. Number 7 grinned. The banter rolled on, but number 2 stayed quiet. He stared at the check like he was working something through. Finally, he spoke. The boss's man is strong. So we can't be weak either. From now on, we're going to be her support. His voice stayed low, but the resolve in it was absolute. Every head nodded. Yeah. We'll be the boss's support. Yeah. We'll be the boss's support. The others picked up the chant, voices filling the cabin. In the X world, their base had commanded an army-filled region. Number 2 believed that soon enough, they'd make their name echo in the 21st century too. Fu Corporation. CEO's office. Fu Zhixuan was reviewing a financial report when a knock came at the door. Gu Hongxian walked in. Boss, they've landed in Eastern Europe. Smooth trip. Fu Zhixuan didn't look up. And that heads up you asked me to pass along. The Mrs.'s second brother said thanks but no thanks. They'll handle things themselves. Fu Corporation held heavy investments in Eastern Europe. Getting the country's leadership to watch their backs would have been effortless for Fu Zhixuan. All right. Do as they asked. But a place that chaotic, can they really hold their own? Gu Hongxian's skepticism was plain. Fu Zhixuan finally lifted his gaze from the report. They're not ordinary people. He let the silence stretch a bit. Don't doubt the Mrs.'s judgment. Shahan's focus snapped back. The file's contents rushed through his mind, every last detail about that group. According to the file, they materialized out of nowhere in Eastern Europe. The region was a war zone, carved up by local warlords. Within a day, they secured permanent housing. By day 2, they moved through the area like they owned it, utterly unbothered by the surrounding chaos. At the time, the fighting was at its peak. Military units bled casualties daily. No outsider stood a chance. But this group navigated the violence like it was routine, earning hard-won respect for their sheer competence. Within a month, they had a reputation. Fast. Precise. Ruthless. Impossible to defend against. Their rates were astronomical, but their performance was flawless. 6 months later, they'd risen to real prominence. They had their own armed force. They could go head-to-head with a well-equipped military and walk away without a scratch. Every single incident confirmed just how formidable they were. And every one of them called Su Xingyu a boss. That alone told Shahan her skills outclassed even theirs. He couldn't help himself. Mr. Fu, should we take precautions against them? No need. They're yours people, which means they're my people too. Fu Yancheng trusted Su Xingyu. He always had. And one day, just as he'd foreseen, those people would come to see him as one of their own. 1 month later, in the heart of the imperial capital's bustling downtown, a brand new building rose. The headquarters of Quantum Node Network Tech Company, co-founded by Su Xingyu and Gao Feng. It stood right next to the Fu conglomerate tower, a little smaller, but entirely theirs. A standalone 20-story structure. The grand opening and ribbon-cutting ceremony drew industry insiders and press crews. While everyone was still guessing at the company's next move, Fu conglomerate dropped a bombshell on its official website. Effective immediately, all of the conglomerate's cybersecurity would be handled by Quantum Node Network Tech Company. The contract had no expiration date. The announcement hit like a shockwave. News spread like wildfire, major outlets covered it, and the once unknown company became an overnight sensation. Everyone was stunned. Cybersecurity was critical, and for the massive Fu conglomerate to hand over its entire security to this newcomer. It was beyond surprising. For Quantum Node, it was the ultimate publicity. The kind of free advertising you can't buy. Almost immediately, cybersecurity leads from other companies started reaching out, hoping to lock in a partnership. If the Fu conglomerate trusted them with their security, there was zero doubt about their expertise. Xu Zhixuan and Gao Feng stood in the top floor office, gazing out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the skyscrapers across the street. The city sprawled below them, alive and restless. Gao Feng's voice was thick with excitement, but controlled. He wasn't a kid anymore. Master, we actually pulled this off. Xu Zhixuan smiled at him, approval shining in her gaze. You did this. I always knew you could. His voice roughened with emotion. Master, without you, I'm nothing. I'd probably still be hacking accounts for pocket change back home. She'd been his mentor, his guide. When he was lost, she'd seen his talent, given him direction, given him a chance. Without her, he wouldn't be here. He hesitated, then gathered his nerve. Master, I want to talk about the equity split again. The words had been sitting on his chest for a while. Xu Zhixuan didn't answer right away. Her gaze drifted outside, as if lost in thought. Then she turned slowly to face him. Fine. His heart jumped. He'd been afraid she'd refuse. He rushed ahead. I was thinking 40-60. You take 60, I get 40. What do you say? The old 50-50 split had always felt unfair to her. Now that the money was real, especially with the full conglomerate contract, he couldn't stand the idea of her being shortchanged. No, she said. You get 60. I get 40. But master, that's not. Xu Zhixuan raised a hand, cutting him off. Her cool gaze, like a frozen spring, locked on him with no room for argument. My focus is my family now. You're the one running this company. I trust you. So do as I say. Her tone was calm, but it left no room for debate. Gao Feng knew better than to push. If he pissed her off, she'd beat his ass. He pouted and nodded, reluctantly accepting. He wanted to fix the equity split to make sure she wasn't being taken advantage of. But somehow, he ended up with the better deal again. Oh, right, boss. Muyun and I are getting married next month, Gu Hongxian said, a hint of embarrassment in his voice. Good. It's about time. Yunshu nodded. The two had been together since their school days, and now Xia was almost 4. It was past time they tied the knot. Is everything ready for the wedding? Gu Hongxian nodded, grinning. We were just waiting to tell you. All right. She paused a bit. I don't want the first year's profit share from the company. Consider it a wedding gift for you and Muyun. The moment the words left her mouth, Gu Hongxian nearly jumped. He waved his hands frantically. No, boss. That's way too generous, I can't accept it. Everyone knows the first year brings the biggest profits. Handing that over as a gift. I can't take it. Yunshu fixed him with a cool stare, her tone leaving no room for argument. Gu Hongxian, do you think just because I've stepped back from work, I can take you down? But boss. Say one more word, and next month's wedding is off. She'd make sure he spent the next month in bed, and there would be no ceremony. Yes, boss. Then, thank you. Don't worry. I'll work hard, I promise. I'll make a lot more money. Gu Hongxian pounded his chest in reassurance. I'm leaving. With that, Yunshu walked out of the office, Gu Hongxian trailing behind to see her off. Boss! Boss! The staff outside greeted her with respect. So one of the company founders was the wife of Fu Corporation's tycoon. Rumor had it she was even more capable than Gu Hongxian. Beautiful, brilliant, married to Fu Huaishan, the man half the women in the city dreamed of. A match made in heaven. Everyone felt proud working for a boss like that. After leaving the tech company, Yung-shu crossed the street to the Fu Corporation building. Today was the startup's opening, so she brought Fu Zhixuan along. The little guy had played for a while, then asked Zhou Yiyan to take him to the main building. Now she needed to pick him up and head home. The 36th floor of Fu Corporation was Fu Zhixuan's favorite. He explored every floor, but the design department was his personal playground. He loved watching the grown-ups draw and create blueprints. The staff all knew him. Whenever the little prince came to play, they eagerly offered snacks and scooped him up. Right now, the design department was in a meeting. The leader spoke at the head of the table. Rows of designers sat listening, and way in the back sat Fu Zhixuan. He didn't understand a word, but he loved staring at the colorful images projected on the screen. He was always well-behaved. If he wanted to watch, he sat quietly. If he didn't, he opened the door and left. He never made a scene, so everyone doted on him. After a while, Fu Zhixuan got up and slipped out of the conference room. Nobody batted an eye. Zhou Yiyan saw him exit and assumed the boy was getting sleepy. In jail, ready for a nap. Fu Zhixuan shook his head. No, Uncle Zhou. I just want the juice mommy packed for me. He left the juice in Fu Huaishan's office upstairs and didn't feel like going up to grab it himself. Zhou Yiyan read the expression on his face. He ruffled the boy's hair. Wait here for me. I'll go upstairs and get it. All right. Okay. Thank you, Uncle Zhou. The little guy agreed, as obedient as ever. Zhou Yiyan headed up. Less than a minute after he left, the floor's patrol robot rolled by on its regular rounds. Fu Zhixuan was fascinated and followed the robot away from the 36th floor. The robot's patrol ended at the first floor lobby, where it would line up to recharge. Fu Zhixuan followed it all the way down. In the lobby, 5 front desk staffers were slacking off and gossiping. Hey, I heard the little prince comes here a lot, right? A newly hired front desk girl asked. Another replied, what's so surprising about that? He's here all the time. We see him every day. The new girl pressed on. What about the president's wife? Does she come around often? A third chimed in, no. I've only seen her once, right before the wedding. They say she keeps a low profile. She hardly ever goes out. Yeah. After the wedding, a few ceremony photos got released, but since then nothing. No pictures, no sightings. I'm so jealous of her. Her husband takes care of the kid. She stays home like a queen, doesn't have to work. It's the perfect life. The others nodded, envy shining in their eyes. But the new girl took it differently. A flicker of jealousy crossed her face before she smoothed her expression. I bet her figure's red from having the baby, so she's too embarrassed to show up. Her voice was cool. A woman after childbirth can never compare to one who hasn't had kids. There's definitely something fishy about her never coming to the company. The girl beside her shot her a warning look. Don't talk nonsense. It's not our place to judge the president's wife. Exactly. You'll get us all in trouble. The new girl shrugged it off. What's there to be afraid of? We're just talking here. My mouth, I can say what I want, right? The others saw she wouldn't back down and just shut their mouths, refusing to engage. Just then, a small, childish voice rose from below the front desk. Excuse me. The group heard the voice but couldn't see anyone. They stood and finally spotted Fu Zhixuan, hidden behind the marble counter. One of them recognized him and quickly came around, squatting down. What's wrong, Jinjiao? Do you need to go see the president? No. Can you call Uncle Zhou for me? Tell him I'm on the first floor and I'm going up now. I don't want him to worry because he can't find me. The little guy had thought to notify Zhou Yiyan, who was retrieving his juice from the top floor. Okay, I'll call him right now. She dialed Zhou Yiyan's number. After hanging up, Fu Zhixuan thanked her politely. Thank you, miss. I'm going up now. Do you need me to swipe the card for you? She asked. No, it's okay. Uncle Joe gave me a card. He waved his little chubby hand goodbye and headed for the elevator. Bye-bye, Jinjil. The front desk girl waved back and returned to her post. Just then, the new hire suddenly said, "Oh, my stomach hurts. I'm going to the restroom." And she walked off without another word. The elevator doors were sliding shut when the new receptionist slipped inside, barely squeezing into the car before the panels sealed. Fu Zhixuan stood alone in the corner, staring at her. She smiled down at him, then crouched to meet his eyes. "You're Zhixuan, aren't you?" He gave a short nod. "I'm new at your dad's company. I just love kids." Her manicured nails caught the light as she reached for his cheek. He pulled back before her fingers touched him. Her hand hung in the air. The kid wasn't easy. She recovered fast, the smile never sleeping. "You're up here a lot, but there's never anyone to play with. Doesn't that get boring?" Silence. Not even a blink. "I'm really good with children. I mean it. I know all kinds of games. Want to try one with me?" "No," he said. "Games are for little kids." The smile twitched. "Is it because your mom doesn't play with you?" "My mom doesn't do games." She didn't. But she could outfight Uncle, and Uncle played games sometimes. Fu Zhixuan kept that observation to himself. The woman's pulse ticked faster. So the CEO's wife ignores the kid. If I can get him attached to me, then work on the CEO. How hard could it be to step into this picture? The thought flickered through her head, twisting her expression for a split second before she smoothed it over. The elevator chimed. Top floor. Fu Zhixuan stepped out first. She followed right on his heels. When she took in the penthouse-level private floor, Fu Zhixuan's exclusive domain hunger blazed in her eyes before she could hide it. If she hadn't made her move today, she could have worked here 20 years and never set foot in this space. Fu Zhixuan walked straight toward his father's office. She stayed close. Li Jun stepped through the office door and stopped cold the instant he registered the woman trailing behind the boy. His expression went flat. "Assistant Li, what are you doing on this floor?" His voice could have frozen water. "Oh, I came up to spend time with Zhixuan." She pivoted toward the boy, smile bright and coaxing. "Right, Jinjil. Auntie's here to play. Tell him." She was confident. No kid ever turned down a playmate. Li Jun's gaze shifted to the boy, waiting. But Fu Zhixuan wasn't like other children. "No," he said, perfectly deadpan. "I don't want to play games." Her face cracked open with panic. "But in the elevator, you said you wanted." "I didn't say that. You can check the security footage." The kid was sharp. He didn't understand her angle, but he wasn't about to let her put words in his mouth. "Security footage?" Her voice jumped an octave. No, you probably just forgot." "That's fine, it's fine. If Zhixuan didn't say it, you need to leave," Li Jun said. "Assistant Li, listen, he's stuck up here all by himself. I used to be a kindergarten teacher. I can keep him occupied. I can." She was scrambling now, desperate not to blow her only shot at accessing this floor. Before Li Jun could shut her down, the conference room doors swung open. Fu Zhixuan stepped out, executives flanking him. Tall, built like the world owed him nothing and paid anyway, he pulled every eye in the hallway without trying. He was the brightest thing in the building. He caught the commotion and stopped. "What's going on?" Fu Zhixuan ran to him, and his father scooped him up in one easy motion. "Dad, this lady followed me into the elevator. She wanted to play games with me. But I don't like games." The boy's voice carried clean through the hallway. Everyone heard. The executives hadn't known about the child before today, but they weren't stupid. One glance at the woman's heavy makeup, and they read the entire situation in under a second. "It's not like that, CEO, I was just..." "Get her out." Fu Zhixuan didn't spare her a glance. He carried his son into the office. CEO, you got it all wrong. Let me explain. Li Jun moved to escort her off the floor, but she was already raising her voice. What's all this? The cool question sliced through the noise. Zhou Qimeng stepped out of the elevator, Gu Hangxian beside her. Her eyes swept the scene. Hello, MRS Fu. MRS Fu. The executives greeted her in a quick, respectful wave. The woman spun around and froze. Zhou Qimeng stood there in a cream-white knit set. A crop top bared the faintest sliver of waist, paired with straight cigarette pants that followed the long line of her legs. The cuffs tapered just so. Beige pointed toe flats, each with a single tiny pearl at the tip. Walking across that polished marble floor, she moved like soft light cutting into the room. Her skin was luminous pink-white, sun-kissed, so fine it looked poreless. Her hair was loosely tied back, stray strands brushing her cheeks when she lifted her chin. Almond-shaped eyes with a slight upward tilt, bright as spring water. She regarded people with an easy indifference, but that gaze was so vivid it was hard to pull away from. What landed hardest, though, was her posture. She had a child, yet her shoulders and neck were as sharp as a girl's. Waist narrow, spine straight. Not a trace of softness she hadn't earned. The knit fabric skimmed gentle curves, nothing overt, but carrying that particular allure of a woman who knew exactly who she was. A flower just beginning to open on a cold branch. Sweetness on the surface, something richer layered beneath. This was nothing like the frumpy, overweight waif the woman had pictured. In one glance, she felt the sting of an invisible slap. Zhou Qimeng stopped beside Li Jun. What's happening here? Mrs. Fu, she accessed the wrong floor. Young Master Fu asked me to escort her down. Zhou Qimeng nodded. She didn't press, but her eyes told Li Jun she understood perfectly. All right. Go ahead. Then she walked into the CEO's office without another word. Wrong floor. If anyone genuinely got lost navigating Fu Corporation's floors, Fu Huaishan had no business running a multinational. No hires set through orientation. They knew exactly which departments were on which floors. The elevator access cards were locked by level, no mistakes. And that look the woman had shot her first thing. Pure hostility. This wasn't an accident. The door swung open. Yunshu spotted Fu Huaishan at the computer. Fu Xinyu settled on his lap, the two of them studying stock charts together. See this wave here? That's where the opportunity is. Okay. Fu Huaishan thought with complete focus, and the little boy was every bit as locked in. Hey, you two. Yunshu smiled at them. Fu Xinyu scrambled off his father's lap immediately, little feet pattering across the floor as he launched himself into her arms. Mommy! Hey, sweetheart! She hugged him tight. Fu Huaishan was already behind them, his tall frame casting a shadow over both of them. Long day? He asked. She took Xinyu's hand and led them toward the sofa. Not really. I left everything to my assistant. Fu Huaishan nodded, visibly pleased. He didn't want her running herself into the ground. Oh, and thank you for the promotion, Huaishan. Saved me a fortune in advertising. Her eyes glinted with mischief. Honey, I work for you now. You're the boss. He played right along. Mommy, why does Daddy work for you? The little boy tipped his head, genuinely confused. Wasn't Daddy the one people called president? Before Yunshu could answer, Fu Huaishan jumped in. Because Mommy is the conglomerate's major shareholder. Daddy just draws a monthly salary. Oh. Mommy's amazing. Xinyu wants to work for Mommy too. The little boy clapped, absolutely delighted. Yunshu gave his chubby cheek a gentle pinch. Sure, but if you slack off, I'll have to fire you. Xinyu's not scared. Xinyu's gonna do even better than Daddy. Of course. My son wouldn't settle for anything less. Fu Huaishan's voice brimmed with pride. Watching the two of them so happy together, Yunshu suddenly felt like teasing her husband. Her playful smile faded, replaced by a cool, unreadable expression. So, President Fu Huaishang, mind explaining how one of your employees ended up on the wrong floor? Seems like a pretty basic mistake. Fu Huaishang looked at her. Her face was calm, but there was a sharp glint in her eyes. He cleared his throat. I know. That lady wanted to play a game with me, but I don't like games. I only like looking at design drawings and stock charts. Fu Xinyu piped up, eager to answer. Mommy thinks that lady wanted to play a game with your daddy. President, am I right? Play a game with daddy? What kind of game? The little boy's curiosity was officially piqued. Instead of answering, Fu Huaishang scooped him up and walked to the office door. He opened it. The security guard was waiting right outside. Take Xinyu to play. I'll call you when we're done. He handed the boy over. Yes, sir. The guard took the little boy without missing a beat. The second the office door clicked shut, Fu Xinyu started in. Mr. Guard, what game is my daddy gonna play with that lady? What? There was only mommy in the office. What lady? The guard was lost. No, mommy said the lady wanted to play a game with daddy, and something about going to the wrong floor. I need to know what game daddy's gonna play with the lady. Fu Xinyu stared at the security guard with the most earnest eyes in the world. The guard pieced it together fast. That new receptionist. Had to be. Oh, a game. I don't know either. Why don't you ask the other guard later? Okay. I'll ask the other guard. The elevator doors opened, and the security guard carried Fu Xinyu downstairs. Back in the office, Yunshu lounged on the soft sofa, her stunning face fixed on the man who had just returned from sending their son away. So, President Fu Huaishang, any idea how you're going to answer my question? A teasing smile tugged at her lips. Fu Huaishang shrugged off his suit jacket, revealing the crisp white shirt beneath. He undid the top two buttons, letting the hard lines of his chest show, and walked toward her with a dangerously handsome smile. When he reached her, he stopped, bent down, and brought his face close. If my wife has doubts about my management skills, why don't you inspect me yourself? Before she could react, he sat and pulled her into his arms in one smooth motion. I don't want to inspect you. I was just curious what kind of games you play. She pressed her hand against his solid chest. But right now, all he wanted was to lose himself in her. He lowered his head and captured her lips without a second of hesitation. She had only meant to tease him. She hadn't been genuinely upset. But as his cool lips claimed hers, she was swept away. She answered slowly at first, then matched his intensity. A long, deep kiss later, his breathing turned ragged, like he was burning up for her. He pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. Sparks flickered in her gaze, lit by his need. Seeing that fire, his own hunger surged. He couldn't hold back anymore. He lifted her into his arms and carried her toward the restroom. Fu Huaishang, we still need to take Xinyu home. He didn't stop. No rush. His voice was low, with a rough edge that made her heart pound. He kicked the restroom door shut. The noise of the outside world fell away. Inside, it was just the two of them, wrapped in thickening heat. Later, Fu Huaishang held Yunshu close, skin pressed to skin, sharing the warmth between them. They were married. They had a wonderful son. But the fire between them had never once dimmed. Honey, he whispered, his voice thick with feeling. She answered, still hazy, still lost in him. You are irreplaceable. His voice was a little hoarse, but it carried a raw honesty that needed no translation. Yunshu closed her eyes, a blissful smile curving her lips. The next second, Fu Huaishang rolled her beneath him again. His dark eyes locked onto hers, desire flaring hot all over again. Let me prove it one more time. Hail, her protest never made it past her lips. The lounge filled with the sounds of their passion once more. 2 months later, Yoon-shu stood at the bathroom sink, staring dazedly at the 2 bright red lines on the pregnancy test. She'd been buried in work, coding new programs for her tech company, and hadn't noticed her period, always irregular, was nearly 2 months late. During her first pregnancy, the morning sickness and exhaustion had hit her hard, so she'd known right away. This time was completely different. No symptoms. None of the telltale signs. That's exactly why it had slipped her mind entirely. If she hadn't happened to see an ad for sanitary pads on her phone this morning, Yoon-shu probably wouldn't have given it a second thought. So she took a test. And sure enough, pregnant. After Fu Zhixuan's birth, she learned her uterine wall was dangerously thin. A postpartum hemorrhage had left her uterus severely damaged. The doctors told her another pregnancy was nearly impossible. A twinge of regret had fluttered through her at the news. But Fu Zhixuan had looked visibly relieved. He didn't want her to go through that again. Outsiders always assumed wealthy families wanted more children, more heirs, more branches on the family tree. Fu Zhixuan was the exception. He refused to put her health on the line for more kids. So he'd been meticulous with contraception, every precaution, every measure, to prevent that 1 in a million chance. But fate had a sense of humor. This child was a complete surprise. Despite everything, this little life had found its way in, like a miracle. After a long moment, she tossed the test into the trash, grabbed her keys, and drove to the hospital. This time, she booked through the regular OBGYN department, no pulling strings with the director. After the exams, she settled onto a bench in the hallway, waiting on the blood test results. She barely sat down when a girl wearing a hat and a mask, her face completely hidden, slipped out of the consultation room. Yoon-shu lowered her head and scrolled through old photos of Fu Zhixuan on her phone. A few minutes later, 2 men carrying cameras, reporters, clearly strolled over. Hurry! Hongwood was in OBGYN. This is the big one, we're nailing this scoop. They craned their necks, trying to see into the consultation room, but the door was firmly shut. Yoon-shu glanced at them, then went back to her phone. A minute later, Yoon-shu. A nurse opened the consultation room door. The 2 reporters immediately poked their heads inside for a look. Hey! What do you think you're doing? This is an OBGYN ward. The nurse's voice was sharp. Oh, we were just checking if Hong Duo was in there. We're her friends. Came to keep her company, one said quickly. The nurse gave them a suspicious look, then said flatly, she left already. What? What do you mean, what? She's gone. No more snooping. This is the OBGYN department. The nurse's patience was gone. 2 grown men lurking outside was completely inappropriate. Excuse me. Yoon-shu walked over and stood in front of the 2 men blocking the doorway. Oh, sorry. The man signaled his partner with a glance, and they finally moved aside and headed for the elevator. Are you Yoon-shu? The nurse asked. She nodded. Yes, I'm Yoon-shu. Good. Please come with me. The nurse led her into the consultation room. Inside the elevator, the 2 reporters stood baffled. Hong Duo had left that quickly. In under 2 minutes. Brother Chen, we've been chasing this story for weeks and we got zilch. What do we tell the station? The younger guy with the camera looked crushed. The older man was equally frustrated. How am I supposed to know? There goes our bonus this month. If only we could land a big story right now. Even some rich family gossip would be better than nothing. I just want that bonus, the younger man muttered. Rich family. The older one's ears perked up at those words. Something clicked. Yeah, even tabloid trash from some rich folks would be better than zero, right? The younger man clearly hadn't caught on. Huh? Kid, you're a genius. Quick, hit that button. Back up. The older man tapped the OBGYN floor button. Brother Chen, what's the matter? Didn't Hang Duo already leave OBGYN? Why are we going back up? Chen slapped him on the arm, grinning. You just reminded me of something. Forget this year's bonus, kid, we're about to secure next year's too. Rich family. At the words, he suddenly remembered the woman they bumped into at the OBGYN doorway. That was Yunshu Fu Huaishang's wife, the head of the first conglomerate. She kept an ultra-low profile, there were barely any photos of her online. But if they broke the story Yunshu spotted in OBGYN, that would be 10 times juicier than a third-rate star like Hang Duo. Brother, what's going on? Then the elevator arrived. Don't talk. Follow me, and I guarantee you'll be eating well for the rest of the year. Chen led the younger man charging toward the OBGYN ward. They stopped just outside the consultation room door, leaning against the railing, pretending to wait for someone. 10 seconds later, Yunshu walked out, the nurse following behind. Ms. Yun, you really are pregnant. Make sure you rest plenty, and keep up with your nutrition. Given her delicate condition, the nurse added a few more words of caution. Okay, thank you. Yunshu smiled her thanks and headed for the elevator. But the nurse's words hadn't escaped the reporters, who were listening closely nearby. 30 minutes later, breaking news exploded across the internet. The headline screamed, Joy arrives at Fu Corporation. Fu Huaishang's family about to grow. The article was short and blunt. The wife of Fu Huaishang was expecting their second child, 3 years after their son was born. No photos. The language stayed careful, no exaggeration, no tabloid trash. It still sent shockwaves through social media. Damn, Mrs. Fu's giving Mr. Fu another baby. So jealous. But honestly, I'm more curious how they made that happen. Commenter above, get it together. This is a comments section, not a confessional. In the CEO office at Fu Corporation, Li Jun knocked hard and stepped inside. His face was tense, a tablet in his hand. Sir, you need to see this. He handed the tablet over. Fu Huaishang took it, scanned the screen. No pictures, but he understood instantly his wife was pregnant. The tablet clattered onto the desk. Fu Huaishang was already on his phone, dialing as he stood and strode out the door. At that moment, his wife was in a supermarket, picking out snacks for Fu Xinyu. With a second child on the way, she was even more determined to shower the little guy with love. Yes, Jiwang Garden had everything, but she wanted to choose this herself. He'd be over the moon. She was pushing her cart through the imported snack aisle when her phone rang. Seeing Fu Huaishang's name, she answered. Hey, honey. What's up? His voice came strained. Where are you right now? At the supermarket. Getting Fu Xinyu some snacks. She dropped another bag into the cart. Don't move, okay? Just stay put. He sounded almost frantic. Don't move. I'm fine. She planned to tell him tonight, that was all. Why she hadn't called right after the appointment. Be good. Wait for me. I'm on my way. His voice softened, but the urgency lingered. Okay. The call ended. Fu Huaishang barked at Li Jun behind the wheel. Faster. Li Jun groaned internally. He didn't dare say a word. Yes, sir. They were already doing 100 miles an hour through the city center. 10 minutes later, the Rolls-Royce weaved through traffic and pulled into the parking lot. The instant it stopped, Fu Huaishang opened his own door and stalked toward the supermarket entrance. His face was dark, a storm churning in his eyes. His wife had a thin uterine wall. He'd never wanted her to risk another pregnancy, but the baby was here now. The thought alone that even a minor accident could cause another massive hemorrhage sent a shudder through him. He nearly broke into a run, heading straight for the imported snacks aisle. Between the shelves, he spotted her slender figure. She was reaching for a bag on the top shelf, about to rise onto her toes, when he rushed forward and snatched it down. Honey! She looked up, delighted. You got here so fast. He tossed the snack into the cart, then fixed his dark gaze on her. A heartbeat later, he pulled her into a gentle embrace. What are you doing here? She asked. Sorry, babe. It's my fault you're pregnant again. His voice was thick with guilt. She blinked. How did he already know? But she understood. She patted his back. It's okay, Fu Zhixuan. The doctor said the baby is healthy, and I'm fine. My uterine wall is thin, so conceiving isn't easy. This child is fate. It's not your fault. But I already talked to the doctor. I'll have a C-section when it's time. Really? She nodded. Really? I'm not lying to you. Hearing that, some of the tension finally left his brow. How did you find out, anyway? I was going to tell you tonight. Fu Zhixuan took her hand in one of his and pushed the cart with the other. A gossip reporter spotted you at the OBGYN. Gossip reporter? Oh. Those two. She remembered the two men she'd noticed outside the OBGYN supposedly there to snap paparazzi shots of some celebrity. Never thought I'd be on their radar. She laughed, pulling out her phone. The top story was all about her OBGYN visit. She read it and nodded. Well, it's decently written. What she didn't know was that her offhand comment would secure those two reporters their year-end bonuses. Later, they'd even become Fu Corporation's exclusive featured journalists with a salary package no TV station could touch. They left the supermarket and climbed into the car. Fu Zhixuan lifted her onto his lap, exactly the way he'd done when she was pregnant with Fu Xinyu. Babe, are you uncomfortable? Do you need to sleep? Same questions as last time. She shook her head. No. That's honestly why I didn't notice for 2 months no symptoms at all. If you ever feel off, promise you'll tell me. Okay. Suddenly, Fu Zhixuan said toward the front seat, slow down. Li Jun said nothing, but inside he was dying. Here we go again. Driving a Rolls-Royce like a motorized tricycle was torture for a man with a racing license. Hey, Fu Zhixuan, do you think Fu Xinyu will be happy when he finds out he's getting a little brother or sister? She worried about their son's reaction. At his age, kids could overthink things. Of course. As long as the baby comes from you, Fu Xinyu will love them. He didn't hesitate. How can you be so sure? He looked at her, his deep voice low. Babe, Fu Xinyu is our son. The child in your belly shares the same blood. His brother or sister. Fu Zhixuan's logic was solid. That didn't stop the worry gnawing at her chest. By the time their car pulled up to the Fu residence, Xia Mo'er was already stepping out of the living room with Fu Xinyu's hand in his. School was out across Eastern Europe. Their uncle was back, and naturally, he jumped straight into helping with the kid. Congratulations, sis. Brother-in-law. Xia Mo'er grinned. He'd clearly seen the news. I'm gonna be an uncle again. Fu Zhixuan gave a small, satisfied nod. I'll send you a red envelope later. Awesome, thanks, brother-in-law. Yunshu's eyes flicked past them, searching for Fu Xinyu. Yo-yo, she reached for him. Mom, the boy's face was small and unreadable. Xia Mo'er glanced between them. Yo-yo, tell your mom exactly what you told me. Fu Xinyu looked at Xia Mo'er, then at Yunshu. After a pause, he stepped forward, stopping a couple of feet away. His bright eyes rested on her face first, then dropped to her belly. Mom, is there really a little sister in there? Sweetheart, we don't know yet if it's a brother or a sister. She hesitated. Do you not want a little brother or sister? Fu Xinyu shook his head hard. No, Mom. Any baby you have, I'm going to love them. Then why do you seem a little sad? She brushed his cheek with her thumb. He frowned, genuinely torn. I just keep thinking, If it's a little brother, do I have to teach him to read stock charts? That stuff is really hard. What if he hates it? And if it's a little sister, I can't teach her all the stuff girls like. So what am I supposed to do? Yunshu and Fu Zhixuan stared at him. Xia Mo'er broke the silence. Sis, this kid seriously wants a sibling. He just told me he doesn't need me looking after him anymore. He says he's going to take care of the baby himself. The knot that had been tightening in Yunshu's chest all the way home finally loosened. This pregnancy was nothing like the first. No morning sickness, none of that bone-deep drowsiness, no sluggish fog dragging her down. If anything, she felt energized. She ate well, slept deeply, and still moved her body when she could. Gentle stretches, light exercise. Nothing intense. Fu Zhixuan drew a hard line at sparring. Still, he hovered. He fussed over every tiny thing and barely left her side, more anxious this time than he'd been the first. And then there was Fu Zhixuan. Every morning, the first thing he did was come check on Yunshu's belly. When he got home from school, greeting the bump came before anything else. By the time she was nearly 6 months along, the little guy had stopped saying little brother or sister altogether. It was only little sister now. Yunshu asked him why he was so certain. He just said he dreamed of a little sister asking him for candy. No one took a child's dream as prophecy. Neither Fu Zhixuan nor Yunshu chose to find out the sex ahead of time. They easily could have. They wanted the surprise. On delivery day, Yunshu was wheeled into the operating room. Moments later, a sharp, clear cry ran through the room. Fu Zhixuan's long-awaited little sister was here. The moment Yunshu was out of surgery, Fu Zhixuan gave the little princess her name before she even opened her eyes. Fu Xingxi. Xin ties her to you and Yoyo, he said. And Ci means literary grace, elegance. It shares the brightness of Xingyo, but it adds a more poetic softness. Strong, too. Yunshu loved it. Her daughter would be strong, no daughter flower, not ever. But she still gave Fu Zhixuan a sidelong look. I had to nag you forever to name Yoyo, and you named our daughter in less than an hour. Talk about playing favorites. He just shrugged. He was partial to daughters. That much was obvious. His eyes were swimming with pure adoration for the baby. When little Xingxi was brought into the hospital room, Fu Zhixuan took over her care himself. He changed diapers like a seasoned pro, fed her formula, rocked her to sleep. Every single motion was precise and practiced. The hired caregiver stood off to the side, completely unnecessary, just watching. Fu Zhixuan shadowed his father, hovering around his sister without a flicker of jealousy. Little sisters are meant to be spoiled, he announced firmly. I'll be just like Dad. I'm gonna spoil her too. Yunshu pressed her fingers to her forehead. Did this favoritism toward daughters run in the family's blood? The next day, Fu Zhixuan posted a photo to his Weibo account without warning. No caption. Just a picture of the four of them holding hands. Let alone send the internet into a dissecting frenzy. But while people were still buzzing with speculation, Fu Zhixuan did something even more outrageous. He sent out 10 million yuan in random red envelopes on the platform. The news hit and the internet exploded. Already the center of attention, Fu Zhixuan had now not only announced his family's happy news but tossed out an eye-popping fortune like confetti. The platform went up in flames. Users swarmed his page, scrambling for a shot at one of those rare envelopes. Weibo's servers buckled under the load and crashed for hours. There was no doubt about it. Fu Zhixuan's move lit social media on fire. It became the hottest topic of the day. He and his family were the center of everything. It felt like the whole world was celebrating them. Warm wishes flooded in. Every comment brimmed with goodwill. A single line wishing Fu and Yun a lifetime of happiness racked up likes in the millions. Others begged to see the new baby's face. Please, just one photo of the little princess or prince, please. Congratulations to CEO Fu on the new addition. May you two love each other forever. Happiness.